You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Damn, Perk did this?
I don't need no one to save me. I was born to be the greatest. All that time in that basement, all that time isn't wasted. Rapping getting faded. I just wanna tell my mom that I made it. Just wanna be the topic of the conversation. Used to rock the gold plated. Now I'm wearing gold chains like I'm famous.
What is going on, YouTube? Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. Thank you all for tuning in. Kings and Dreams back for another live stream. You see the title, you see the thumbnail, and we are going to talk about should passport bros or the travel community, should they remain in the United States when it comes in terms of dating and or relationships. And so the reason why I wanted to have this discussion was because I got in contact with one of an up and coming YouTuber, and he put out a video. And so I was watching the video, and I was like, And he and I had already been having like conversations about doing a collaboration. So I saw the video, and I thought, okay, well, maybe we should have a conversation about this, right? So we're definitely going to have that conversation tonight. And again, this is not a debate. This is just strictly a conversation. But without further ado, I definitely want to bring this brother up. What's going on, man? My man Velvet Cakes is in the building. How you doing, man?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you. So before we get started, why don't you just let the people know a little bit about who you are and and what it is that you do.
Sure, man. So I run a YouTube channel called Velvet Cakes. The title of my channel actually has nothing to do with what I talk about. It's funny. I was like thinking about what to name my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And then I was like thinking too hard. I'm like, it shouldn't be this hard. So I was like,
Right.
I'm just going to pick my favorite dessert and just name it whatever. But yeah, it's funny because when you type in Velvet Cakes on YouTube, you don't actually see my channel. It's just a bunch of velvet cake. But not to get too off topic.
No worries, man.
So I run a YouTube channel on men's lifestyle, confidence, self-improvement, helping young men, all over the world become the best possible versions of themselves. We cover all things like self-improvement, good habits, how to reach true confidence. Another subset kind of under that umbrella is dating life. I offer men a lot of great dating tips as well. So it's overall just a very like men's lifestyle, confidence, self-improvement channel. I guess in a way you could call me like a red pill light, and I don't want to identify like 100% like red pill, but I think a lot of topics that a lot of people, they always ask me like, hey, like, are you part of the red pill community? And, for the purposes of like the manosphere, I'd be lying if I said like I wasn't. A lot of my videos, they really go under that umbrella, but I wouldn't say I'm like a hardcore red pillar. I'd say I'm more on like the red pill light kind of side, because I really do think a lot of young men are lost in today's day and age, and they do need like an older brother figure. They do need a lot of guidance to like really improve in really all aspects of their life, especially when you're, a young adult, especially in those ages between 18 to 25. So yeah, that's what I do. I don't know if you want like more of a backstory of like how I got into YouTube, but
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead. Keep it going, bro.
Yeah, so basically, throughout my life, right, like all of high school, I live like it was tough. No, it was very tough socially. I got picked on a lot. I didn't have a lot of friends in high school. I didn't really hit the gym. I wasn't a very athletic dude. And then throughout, high school, man, it was just some rough years. I legit didn't go to a single like prom or a homecoming. I actually, I was so scared at one point to talk to girls that I didn't really get like the courage to like ask a girl out until like my junior prom. And I asked 3 girls out and they all rejected me right off the bat. And I remember, man, just like coming home so like pissed off at the world. Like, what the hell? Like why do girls not like me? And then, the same year, it was like next year it was the same thing, it was like I would get rejected and then I would just sit there and I was like, damn, like what the hell is wrong with me, And back then, I wasn't, I was a very scrawny guy. I never really like looks maxed per se, or I didn't really do a lot of stuff self-improvement. I was a very shy dude. I didn't have that confidence yet. I didn't reach true confidence. It wasn't until like college, right? I joined kind of like Greek life. I joined a fraternity, and it kind of just like socially put me more out there on the map. That's when I started getting exposed to more girls. My social skills started to develop. I got into like my first couple relationships in college. They're pretty toxic. They didn't work out very good, man. And as a result, I think I was just so lost between the ages of like 18 to 22, 18 to 23, whether it be just the shyness and the anxiety of high school, and then, college, getting completely just side distracted and, going off tangent. I went to school. I wanted to be a doctor. I really did. But, I got too ingrained in like the partying and the drinking in college. And, I've made a lot of mistakes. And it wasn't until like I graduated college after, just didn't take school seriously, didn't have the best GPA, barely got into like a master's program. I mean, it was pretty horrible. Like my first couple jobs, man, at like 23, 24, like I saw what happened when you didn't put the hard work in. I saw what happened, when you settle down so early in relationships and you have literally no experience with girls, whether it be from a social aspect, whether or not casually dating a lot. I saw exactly what happens when you don't put in the work. And I took myself to the next level, really those years after college. I discovered like the manosphere, I discovered men's lifestyle. And, for the first time, it's like I finally found, I didn't have like really a father figure growing up. It's kind of a personal story, but I was really raised by like kind of like my mom. But at the same time, I truly believe like every man needs at least some type of like big brother figure or like father figure they could look up to. And, I was really lost, man. I was really lost between ages of like 18 to 23 until like, I really discovered like that manosphere content, the men's lifestyle content. And between the ages of 23 to 25, like as cringy as this sounds, man, those guys, like just watching those YouTube videos, I kind of looked up to them. I looked up to them kind of as like big brother figures. And I followed the advice from guys like Teaching Men's Fashion and How to Beast. I mean, he was kind of new at the time, but definitely like Alpha M. He was like one of the first OG guys in like the men's lifestyle community. And they're just following all the advice that they give, learning from the mistakes that I made in my past. I made it a mission, man, from like just 23 like onward to just grind. And throughout that, like really throughout my 20s, man, I developed in my career. I pushed myself so hard to the gym, man. I like got out of that ectomorph body. My finances finally, I was making the money that I wanted. I started dressing better. I put myself out there a little bit more. I discovered kind of like the confidence, like pickup community per se. I was never really involved in any of that stuff, but I did, after failing so much throughout my life with women, it was like at some point I realized, I just needed to take more action. I can't just keep, just because I've had, 5 or 6 rejections in the past, just because I had those toxic relationships in the past, that doesn't mean I should just give up. You know what I mean? So I really pushed myself throughout early to mid 20s to become more confident and really level up in all aspects of my life. And, the grind worked. I grinded throughout like all my 20s. And then it wasn't really until I got to my later 20s, 27, 28, I really hit a really good spot. And then now, I'm 29 and I'm in just, I'm a lot more mature than I was when I was younger. I've leveled up in all aspects, and I'm not trying to, brag or anything. I'm just trying to, give people like my journey a little bit. And now at 29, I was like, you know what, like, I don't want other people to go through like the mistakes, the hard life that I went through. I don't want other people to struggle in high school and college. They were the world, the manosphere, just young adults these days, they need guidance, right? They need a lot of people to, guide them on the right path. And especially in today's society, right? When you look at, modern feminism, there are a lot of girls that, they can be very toxic. A lot of young men, it can seem like they're very lonely in this world. And, I was at one point, and, if I could just contribute to the community, contributing my YouTube channel to just help young men, I'll, go to my grave doing that, man. And, at 29, I think I'm 29 right now. And, I think a couple months ago, I just kind of realized like I'm at a really good spot to just give other people advice. And it's funny, man, because like even my friends nowadays, they always hit me up for like dating advice, and they always hit me up on like just good habits in general. And it's always, I like helping other people, man. So about 3.5 months ago, I started my YouTube journey, man, and it's been a lot of fun. So, not to get too off topic, but I mean that's a little bit about myself. So, appreciate you having me on.
All right, definitely, definitely. You definitely said a mouthful there. You know what I mean. All right, so let me ask you, kind of going back here. What is your nationality like? Like, what's your ethnicity, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I'm half Indian and I'm half Bangladesh. So I know you probably travel a lot. So the Bangladesh is the country to the right of India.
Yep.
Yeah. So my first language actually isn't English, it's Bengali. So
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. I have a team in Bangalore, Bangalore, India.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. So, very, very cool. Yeah. So I wanted to, and I know you kind of said a mouthful there, but so I'm just kind of uh circling back to some of the things that you had mentioned. So, and you live in the States, correct?
Yeah, I live in
Okay.
DC.
Okay, so you're in the DMV. Shout out to the DMV. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right. Now you had mentioned that. Now you had mentioned like basically like you kind of found your stride when it comes to speaking with women, approaching women. Like you got more comfortable with them when it came like once you got into like college, correct?
Yeah, it was really I don't wanna say, like, I was perfect in college, but it was really, like, being exposed more to the social life. That's when, like,
Right.
I was just exposed more to women, and it kind of forced me into an environment where it's
Yeah.
like, I had to talk to girls, you know? I was in a fraternity
Yeah.
socializing, going to parties, so
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's just interesting that you say that, right? Because um like my freshman year, I also played football. I was one of the first people to ever make varsity, and I started on
Yeah.
varsity, so that built them that boosted my popularity. And then also I was a part of what was called like a street team, basically like a group that throws like parties and stuff, right? So
Yeah.
at different places. So as you mentioned, and this is before, so I'm 38. So this is before like
Okay.
Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you actually had to hand people flyers or get them to come to your events, right? And so that put me in a position to where I had to force myself to get out of my comfort zone. And so like the more women I started speaking to, the more comfortable it was for me. You know what I mean? So when you had mentioned that, like once you join the fraternity and you throwing frat parties and stuff like that, like yeah, you have no choice but to interact and be social. So
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta have to get outside of yourself, right?
Yeah, it
So
would just be weird if
yeah,
didn't, right?
right, yeah, yep. No, I completely understand exactly what you're saying. And then, and so you said that your channel is not so your channel is not necessarily like a red pill channel, but you are red pill aware, correct?
Yeah, I think, you can't 100%, and maybe like I'm in the minority in this, but I don't think you
Mhm.
could 100% put like all your beliefs into like a certain pill, right? But I
Yeah.
do think a lot of the stuff that I cover in my channel, like a lot of people kind of identify me as like a red pill content creator, which I'm cool with,
Mhm.
right? Because if we're talking
Yeah.
manosphere, nowadays everyone gets kind of grouped into all of those. But I'd say I'm more on like kind of like the red pill light side. I don't agree with everything the red pill has to say,
Yeah.
but I'd say a
Mhm.
good like 70 to 80% of it I'm like on board with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I would say, I would say for me, I'm probably, I'm probably like about maybe 85. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, but I don't agree with every single thing. I do know that, I do know that there are a vast of like red pill content creators. They don't believe in marriage. I still do believe in marriage. However, I don't believe like if you're gonna get married in the West, I would say do like a ceremony, but not necessarily doing like file any paperwork, only because of like how it is when it comes to divorce, alimony, child support. Like it's just not fair for the men.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's if you're going to remain in the States. Now, if you go abroad, then depending on which country it is, I would definitely make sure that you look up the marriage laws in that particular country.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just but look, overall, what I'm saying is, long story short, is that I still do believe in the sanctity of marriage, right?
Right.
However, like if someone is like, I have some MGTOW guys that
Yeah.
that are big supporters of mine, and I support them as well. So you know, if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. So I know
Right.
MGTOW guys definitely no marriage at all. Like
Yeah.
they're definitely not doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. Another thing that you have mentioned, um, another thing that you have mentioned, you said that like you gave that you give some advice to some of your friends, right?
Yeah.
And so how did that like start to come about? So kind of walk me through where like you got out of your comfort zone, you got comfortable, then got confident, and then due to the fact that you got confident, that you were able to actually give your friends advice. So kind of walk me through that
Yeah.
that piece if you don't mind.
So, like I said, I was in a fraternity in college where you had to like be exposed, kind of going to socials, partying with a lot of women, right? And in these like parties, guys would just be drinking, right? And then there'd just be like looking like complete idiots. And don't get me wrong, I used to like party a lot. I did drink back then a lot, but it was like I remember it was like one event, I was like a DD at a social, which is like you don't drink at all. And then I remember that social, that party, right? It was like all these people that like in the fraternity, they were just like they were plastered, they were gone out of their minds. And some of the girls were just like these guys are wild. So then, me being sober, I was like, okay, well, like somebody has to like talk to these girls. Like if my fraternity brothers are acting drunk, like drunk idiots, right? Like these girls are gonna get creeped out. So at that moment, I think I realized like, okay, like I have to step up and really get out of my comfort zone, without any alcohol, like without the use of, drinking or anything like that. So it was really like I went out and I kind of just pushed myself in that moment to talk to girls. And then it was like really, really like at first it wasn't a very smooth conversation, but as the night kind of went on, I got more comfortable and like kind of in my element. And then just socializing, man, just socializing with girls. And after that night, I thought to myself, I'm like, wait a second, like why do people drink? Like, is really like, do you really need this substance? Like, why aren't people just more confident? And I think ever since that moment, like as I went on through college, it's like I don't need alcohol. It's like I can talk to girls sober, right? Which I'll be honest, I feel like half the men, like 80% of the guys, when they go out to bars, they need alcohol to talk to women. It's really sad, but I think just learning at a younger age just to be confident, and then just after college, right? Just going to the bars, it was like I never really drank, but I still was able to put myself out there because I'll always remember the moment when, that moment when I just had to push myself, when it was really just me and like everybody else around me was drunk, but there's like a ton of girls. And then I was like, at the time I didn't realize it, but now I realize now I realize it. I'm like, dang, like I could really like I could have really boosted my practice. I could have really gotten some good practice in boosting my social skills in that moment. But it's kind of just repetitiveness, I think, and then just like going out like in your younger 20s and just going like on the sober route, going out to bars, just talking to girls and really just putting yourself out there and just realize it all comes through repetition, right? When you talk to girls, when you talk to strangers, you're gonna be nervous. I mean, I'm always nervous, like when I go up to a girl, it's just human nature. You'd be lying if you say you're always 100% confident. But I think when you do push yourself out there, and you, at the end of the day, it's just human to human interaction. It's just basic psychology. And when you just put yourself out there, man, and you just have like these conversations with girls, you realize like, you could really talk about anything. A lot of guys, they just overthink stuff, but I don't want to get too off topic, but it was really what got me more confident was, towards like that end of college when I was putting myself out there. And then just those years after college when I was going out with friends and going into the bars more so on the sober side. And then, I got like that experience of night game. I'm a lot older now. I don't go out to the bars that much these days at all, but I think just through like repetition, that's what really got me like out of my comfort zone. It was like purposely like forcing myself. It's like, okay, I'm not going to drink, but I'm just going to go out. I'm not going to sit there at the bar bored as hell, right? So what else am I like? What the hell else am I going to do? I'm going to go talk to like other girls around me. I'm going to go have great conversations with other girls around me. I'm not sitting here bored while like all my other friends are jumping up and down drunk. I'm here to might as well socialize, might as well work on my dating life, might as well like maybe not work on my dating life, but might as well get connects, right? And might as well just put myself out there because it's like, I'm here. It's like I think just being exposed to those environments when I was like a younger guy at like a very early age, and just being going to those environments sober and just realizing like it's just basic human to human interaction and built through like repetition. That's really what kind of got me out of my comfort zone. And it's crazy. A lot of guys like don't have confidence, man. And it's just like, for me, it's like, I kind of broke through that shell around like 25. It was like, I reached a point where it's like, I'm not saying like I'm the most confident dude. And I'm not saying I don't get rejected. I still, I get rejected a bunch of times. It's just part of life. But, it's just through repetition, you got to break free. And I think when you hit a moment in your life where you're like, you have to change, you have to do something to like, take your life or even just take your dating life to the next level, you realize that like, guys they overthink stuff. You just got to put yourself out there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree with that. I think one of the things that I really liked what you said was that even though like you were still nervous, you actually put yourself out there, right? And so
Because I think in
um
those moments when like you're nervous, right? That's
yeah.
when you are honestly the most effective, because that's when the adrenaline starts hitting. It's like, and you feel like absolute shit, Like there have been times when I was nervous and I didn't
Mhm.
approach the girl, and later on I'm like beating myself up. I'm like, damn, like I feel like a pussy. Like, but I don't know if I can say that. My bad, but
You already
yeah,
did it. We all
yeah,
good. We all good. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I completely get that, right? And but I do like the fact that you mentioned like even though like you still had enough confidence to do it, you were still nervous. And I think that like a lot of guys, and also what you had mentioned too was that a lot of guys psych themselves out, right? Because like they're in
yeah,
their head, they're overthinking it. And so you also have that, and then you also have like now with the social media has been a blessing and a curse in a sense, because like you're able to find a woman in your local area, and then
right,
you could just go on Instagram, you could just go on Facebook, you could go on Twitter or Snapchat or whatever, right? And you have the access of messaging a woman. But then on the flip side, because some guys are so comfortable with just using the apps, like they don't know how to conduct a conversation face to face, because you have
yeah,
to react in real time. Like, because when you send a text or whatever, you could think about what you want to say, right? Wait a
right,
minute or two and then reply. But you can't, like, if you're talking to a woman face to face, and she says something, you can't, you know what I mean? You can't turn around and be like, let me type this down. And then, you know what I mean? Like, you got to really respond, like, in real time. So,
yeah,
I would say that like part of it, part of the social media helps, but also part of it is a bit of a hindrance as well. And thankfully, I come from the era before social media, so like I'm very comfortable speaking with women face to face, like
yeah,
yeah. So like if I'm like, let's just say like I see like a group of a woman, they happen to be sitting down or hanging out or whatever the case is, like I can go over there and spark up a conversation, no problem at
right,
all, right? But again, this is years and years of me doing it, so
right,
I've been doing this since I was 14. So
yeah,
now I'm 38. So you know what I mean? So like that's over half my life that I've been able
yeah,
to, conduct these conversations. You know what I mean? So but
yeah,
I'm glad that you actually said that, even though that you were nervous, that you still actually had the courage to go up and and spark the conversation. And you said that like with the adrenaline, so the adrenaline actually kind of helps you. So some people may think that like that may be kind of um counterintuitive for them, because maybe the adrenaline may force them to kind of psych themselves out.
Yeah, I think.
And you were able to flip it to a positive. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think. Well, the thing is, man, like I've gotten rejected so many times to the point where it's like when the adrenaline, like it's always gonna be there, but it's like I know there's a very good chance this girl could tell me to fuck off or like tell me to, like no,
Yeah,
right? So then it's like, okay, well, what happens after that? Life still goes on. I'll probably never talk to her ever again in my life. She'll never see me. She'll probably forget about the interaction like an hour later, you know?
right.
So it's like the adrenaline in those moments, that's when you should embrace it and you'd be like, okay, it's coming. I'm getting nervous, but that's when you should just go because that's when you're that energy, right? The adrenaline is building up. That's honestly when you're going to have the most energy to just go approach. Because afterwards, you know, if you don't do it, you hit an all-time low, the momentum, the adrenaline goes down, you go back to like a stable energy level and it's like it's gone, right? And you feel absolutely like shit if you didn't do anything.
Right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's an excellent point. So we are almost at the 30-minute mark. Just want to make sure that everyone does like, share, and subscribe to my guest channel, Velvet Cakes, all one word on YouTube. I also pinned it to the top of the chat. So definitely make sure that you give him a subscribe. So I'm going to jump into the chat, read a couple of comments, and then I'm going to play a video really quickly.
Sounds good.
Shout out to Jay Fleming in the building. Yeah, man. Jay Fleming is another content creator. You know, talks about RP stuff. Also a traveler too. And so definitely make sure that y'all subscribe to his channel. My man Lando is in the building. Thank you so much for pulling up. Brian England. He says,
"Oh, that's my buddy."
Yeah, he said this is a tough chat for real, for real. Let's see here. He also says, trying to learn how to approach women. You know, now how do you pronounce your real? Is it Nair? Nayar?
It's Nayar, but you could call me
Nair.
Nye.
Okay, Nair.
You can call me Nye. That's my nickname.
Okay, got it. Okay, yeah. So Nye has taught me so much work. Now I get a ton of dates. Okay, salute to you, man. Salute to you, man. That's what's up. Tobias the Traveler is in the building. Definitely make sure that y'all subscribe to Tobias the Traveler's channel as well. What is it? DBGLKR7. All right. So he says, how to approach women is not the issue. When you master how to approach women, you will quickly seek the lessons on how to stay away from toxic women. I like that comment. Definitely appreciate you for being here. Let's see. No Excuse Entertainment. He said, what's good, K&D? What's good with you, bro? Charles Jones is in the building. Definitely salute. Let's see. Life is good and only getting better. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. These guys are having their own conversation. Wear Men's Lux Magazine. Definitely salute to you. Chocolate Brown Brother. ¿Qué tal, mi hermano? Todo bien y tú? ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? Buenas noches, man. Buenas noches. Let's see. Exactly. You have to be able to do it sober. Yeah, man. If you're able to approach women, whether you're inebriated or not inebriated, if you're able to do both, man, you know you're good to go. Tobias says sounds like the RSD playbook. I'm not sure who.
That's like so RSD was a bunch of pickup guys like back in the day.
Okay.
I've heard about them.
Yeah.
I haven't really watched them too much, but
Oh, okay.
they're part of like that PUA pickup like community from back in the day, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And would you consider like what you teach your friends? Like, would you consider that like PUA or no? I'm just curious.
No, there's a lot of overlap though, I think. Again, I don't consider myself like a PUA or a dating coach. I just teach guys like the basic elements of confidence and how to approach. You know, I think a lot of like these PUA guys, they teach people like a certain like script, which I don't think you should necessarily do because you're like memorizing lines, you know, it puts a lot of like unnecessary pressure on yourself.
Right.
And the thing, like, I tell my friends is, like, at the end of the day, you could say whatever the heck you want to a girl, you know? Like, I
Mhm.
usually say it's as simple as just approaching and introducing yourself and just saying, "How's your day going?" Like, that's just a basic, you don't have to do, like, the craziest thing, you know?
Right. I got you. Okay. Let's see here. Um, all right. He also mentions have to do it sober, high off the love of Christ instead, brothers. Um, Vega is in the building. Hello, Miss Vega. Melanated Lux is in the building. Hello, Melanated Lux. Okay, we got some of the ladies in the building. Pathfinder is in the building. He says half and half. I think he was talking about I think half lit, half sober. Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But before we get into the video, one of the things I did want to ask you, as you can see the title, should brothers, passport bros, should they um remain in the United States? And I kind of wanted to get your thought process on what do you think about the passport bros in general. Yeah, we'll start there. What do you think about the passport bros in general?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting movement, man. I'll say that. So, from what I've like watched, it just seems like a lot of passport bros are the type of people that have kind of like given up on American, like modern day society woman, and they think that traveling overseas is gonna get them over the hump. I guess that's a good way to put it. And look, I get it, right? If you, and I love traveling, don't get me wrong, but I just think if you are traveling for the primary purpose to like increase your dating life and you're going to spend, thousands of dollars like every month just going overseas just to better off your dating life, it's like you have to really kind of, I think you'd have to just sit back and assess where you are in your life. It's like, is the investment really worth it? And I guess, and for me, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, you go like back and forth like every month, spending thousands of dollars dating women overseas. It's like, realistically, like, is that relationship really going to last? I mean, how do you expect? I think a lot of like strong like relationships, they're built through like quality time. And if you're dating someone overseas, like I just know, I mean, obviously you could use Skype, you could, I don't know, Zoom them or whatever, but I really think like the more face-to-face interaction is crucial. And how would you really do that if you're going like overseas? The best way is you go to them. And when you do that, it's like thousands of dollars every month for that. It's like, is your dating life really that bad in the US where you can't like attract women here like at all? There's 50 states in the US. There's tons of cities within each state. It's like you really have to kind of ask yourself, have you really maximized your dating life in the US? I guys that hop on this movement, I feel like a lot of them are like kind of in their mid to early 20s as well. And it's kind of like, I really think at that time period in a man's life, and maybe this is just the red pill talking in me, but I really think you shouldn't focus on your dating life really until you get to those later stages in your late 20s to early 30s. Because at that point, you have maximized a lot of things in your career and finances. I'm a huge supporter of the male advantage. I really think males don't really peak until they're like 34 to 37, around that time period. I really think guys that want to get into serious relationships, they need to focus on the serious relationship later on in their life when they're in like their early 30s to their mid 30s. And if you're, dishing out like thousands of dollars when you're like in your 20s going like overseas, it's just like it just doesn't seem realistic. I don't think it's the best idea. And again, I'll say this: if you are at the male advantage, if you are like in your 30s and you are well, you're great career wise, you've maximized all elements of your life, you're at great, financially, you're in a great place, your career is settled, and you've really traveled to a good amount of like cities in the US, whatever's happening, you just can't get your dating life figured out. And at that point, if you want to move overseas, not go back and forth, not go back and forth from US to like Brazil or anything like that. But if you legitimately at that point, explored all your options, you're older now, you're in your prime, in your like mid 30s. At that point, if you want to go overseas, settle down with a girl, hey man, like I have nothing to say, like all to you. You know, I'm not against that. What I'm kind of against is like, or not against, that's a strong word, but what I don't understand is why, like, it just seems like a lot of guys are just kind of like giving up. And, you know, maybe that's just the red pill of me saying, you know, I don't like chasing women. I don't like just chasing them and going overseas to like get this extra boost in my dating life. Until I know that I have maximized everything and I am in my male advantage peak, it's like, why would I go overseas, spend thousands of dollars every month, you know, dating women for relationships that realistically, you know, they're not going to last. I mean, unless you're like constantly, you know, going every week, right? You know, we all know connections are built better face to face. But you know, again, you know, I didn't mean to like, you know, come down hard on any passport bros. I actually, like I said, you know, I really support traveling, right? I saw like one of your podcasts, there was a gentleman that talked about like the blue book gentleman that travels for, you know, experiencing like the culture, the environment, the food, maybe, you know, and yeah, like girls, it's cool. Like, I'm not saying don't party with girls, don't hang out with girls when you go overseas. I'm all for it. But I really kind of, I say I'm more of a stronger supporter of like the blue book gentlemen that, you know, kind of go towards actually experiencing the country and what it has to offer. And that's what I really have always liked about traveling, man. You're like in this, you're like in this new country, you know, like you get sick of America. That's why I've never had anything against traveling. But what really kind of just, I guess I'm in the minority with when it comes to like the passport movement, it's like, why are you dishing out thousands of dollars like every month or every couple of months to go overseas and just go back and forth to meet women when, you know, there's 50 states in the US, you know, there's over 50 million, 60 million, 70 million, over that number of amazing girls. You know, you can say modern day feminism and yeah, it sucks, right? But instead of, you know, complaining about it, you know, you have to kind of embrace it and you just got to maximize, you know, the best you can. You know, you could go to other cities within the US. You don't have to go overseas. But again, man, you know, I don't mean to ramble on. You know, I have a lot of stuff to say, but on Passport Bros. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's always like the best thing to do, I guess, for a guy, especially a guy who's kind of in that young adult, mid adult stage, which is really what like my channel's kind of tailored to. You know, it's more so like helping just young adults kind of navigate the world. So that's kind of a little bit of stuff I have on that movement, man.
All right, perfect. All right, so I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play a video really quickly. So, let me just share my screen, and um, I'll put a one in the chat if you all could see my screen. Okay. All right. So let me refresh this. Make sure that it plays. I'm trying to figure out how I could blow this up. Can I blow? Hold on. I don't know if there's a way if I could blow this thing up. I think there is. Hold on. I don't know what I just did.
I can see it. I'm not sure how to blow it up. What if you click on the actual video? What happens?
Yeah, I just clicked on the video, but I don't know what just happened. Hold on. Okay, hold on. What we? All right, so let me start this whole thing over. All right. Give me a minute, all. Give me a minute. I'm just waiting for it to reload.
Yeah, Instagram's not the best on web.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm sharing. I think it's because like I'm sharing my screen. It's all right though.
Do they have it on YouTube? This video, you know?
So one of my subscribers, shout out to my man Don Guerrero. He sent this to me earlier, just randomly, just happened to just send this to me, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use this tonight when I'm talking to you know, Velvet Cakes. Like he just happened to randomly send it to me. Yeah, so yeah, like my
Gotcha.
subscribers just, you know, send me stuff, and then like sometimes I'll use it or sometimes like, I'll speak to it.
Yeah.
Come on. Don't play with me, man. Hold on, all. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Let me get it right. I'm gonna get it right. Give me a minute, all. The video is right there. I probably shouldn't have messed with it. I was trying to make it bigger, but instead of me making it bigger, now I don't see anything at all.
Uh,
Yeah. Technology, right?
yeah.
That's what I get for messing with it.
Hey, man, we're old.
Oh, whoa, speak for yourself.
I said
Nah.
we're both old. 29,
Oh
but
man.
yeah.
All right. Trying to get this video right. Okay, where is it? Hold on. All right. If this all right, now it's buffering. Hold on.
We could go into the other video you had. You said you had two, right? Or you had two or three?
Yeah, yeah. uh let's see. Shout out to my man Deuce. He just hit me up. Asked me to check the resolution, and maybe the resolution. I'm gonna. All right. So while this thing loads, hold on. Let me go to Instagram. Let me see something. Okay, hold on. I think I got it. All right, now it's loading up. Um. Okay, here we go.
All right.
All right. Sorry about that. All I had to get it right. I just had to. I basically had to restart my restart the Instagram. See if it'll play. Okay. All right. So let me share my screen again. All right. I'll put a one in the chat if when you do see my screen. Okay. All right. So let me refresh it. Yeah, this one. Okay, I'm gonna go to the second video. I'm gonna
Okay.
go to the second video. Yeah, I'm gonna go to yours. So let's break down. Okay, so let's break down yours. So this is a video that you did the other day, talking about with the um passport bros and with dating. Let's go to that one. All right. All let me know when y'all can see my screen. Can y'all see my screen? Put a one in the chat, please. Okay, here we go.
One of the popular topics in the manosphere these days is the passport bros movement. Your dating life in the US is apparently so bad that you have to fly all the way to another country to work on your dating life. And look, these guys have a point. You're a foreigner, you're going to another country. People will be interested, girls will be more interested in you, especially since you don't have, their accent. They'll probably ask you more questions, they'll be more receptive. Heck, they might even be a little more friendlier. But is that little, just tiny bit of boost really worth the investment or dishing out thousands of dollars every month, every couple months to just go fly abroad when you can just meet girls in your home city? That's what I just don't get. I just feel like this is some type of cope or some type of coping mechanism for just like people who can't attract girls in their home city. They have to now go fly abroad. I mean, ask yourself, you know how stupid that sounds? I mean, seriously, guys. And not only that, and don't get me wrong, I'm all about traveling. I've traveled to a ton of places: South Asia, Australia, the Middle East, Europe.
All right, so I'll stop right there. Right, so all right, so you mentioned like you think that it's kind of like a coping mechanism, where like some of the guys are unable to find women like in like their local cities or a woman in the United States. So um the pushback, well, the feedback that I have received from from guys who travel, what they say basically is like it's a needle in a haystack full of needles. So not to say that there aren't any quality women in the States, but it's just that it's it's such a challenge to where abroad, these women, these women are more accessible, where it's like, now no matter where you are in the world, I'm always for vetting a woman. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. That's me personally. What I will say though is that the feedback that I have gotten is that um there are more opportunities to meet quality women, and um women in the West seem to either be like combative, or they kind of play games, and so those are like, two of the main things that I really hear: combative, want to play games, um, not really willing to be submissive. And that was going to be one of the things I actually was going to play for the video on Instagram, but it didn't load. So I'll kind of just leave it right there for now, and then I kind of want to hear your feedback.
Do you want me to address like
What I just mentioned.
okay. Yeah, I mean you definitely brought up a lot of good points, right? But I guess my question to people like going overseas, like how exactly, I guess, are you meeting these women like overseas? Are you approaching them, or are like they coming to you? Are like they more receptive in that way? Or is it just, you know, like
Um,
you're like a foreigner and then like I guess girls notice you and they come up to you, or are you just like putting, like how would people, like, I guess, walk me through, like, say like you've been to a lot of countries, right?
right.
So like say, I don't know, like name, I guess, like a country you've been to, I guess.
Colombia. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
like
so okay, so for me, like I was with my ex for about 3 years. How I met her, I met her on Instagram. So
okay.
Yeah, so I found her on Instagram. So there's this nightclub. There's this nightclub, and they play reggae dancehall music, and and I'm from the West Indies, so I love reggae dancehall music.
Right.
So I googled and happened to find out, like, oh, there's a club in Medellin, Colombia, and this was like my very first time going to Medellin. So, and they post a flyer, what have you, and you can see like everyone who liked the flyer. I happened to see her, so I hit her up on Instagram, sparked a conversation, and I think I was going down like a couple of weeks or something like that. I was going down there pretty soon, so she and I were speaking back and forth, in communication, and then I met her down there, and then things took off. But what I would say is, so Facebook, Instagram is one way to meet them. Um, when it comes to dating apps, I deter men from using dating apps in Colombia now, because right now a lot of
Are they
men,
really strict like down there with those? Or
they're not strict, but the reason why I deter men from doing it is because some of the women are meeting these gentlemen on dating apps, and what they're doing is they're actually drugging these men and robbing these men, and
yeah,
so some men have actually gotten deleted, and I don't want to say the actual term because of the YouTube algorithm, but deleted, you can imagine what I mean by that. So
yeah,
so the thing is, they're not scientists, right? So they don't know how much of a dose
right,
that they're putting. Um, so I just deter men from using dating apps in Colombia. This is just Colombia specifically.
right,
But so outside of Colombia, guys use dating apps, social media. But what I would say is the best way really would be to uh, get in with the local, like get in with the local guy, and the local guys, like once you're cool with them, and then they can,
yeah,
you're respectable, you treat them well, you have manners, and they'll introduce you to some quality women, and these are regular women. These aren't working girls, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
actually women that
yeah,
you can actually take out, go on a date, and actually build something with. So I would say, like, that's the best way. And then also you have cold approach, where you could be at the
right,
mall, you could be out and about or whatever, you see a beautiful woman, and you can approach them. But what I would say is, like, probably the best would what I would call a warm approach, which would be an introduction from a
right,
local. So I think
right,
I think that's the best way. But a lot of guys use the tactics that I just mentioned. So kind of like pipelining through social media, and then
right.
warm introduction, and then again a cold approach. So those are kind of like the three main things right there.
Yeah, you brought up a lot of good points, man. But like the thing, I think at the end of the day, right? You said like you met the girl through like dating apps and stuff.
Well, I met my ex through Instagram.
Okay, you met your ex through Instagram, right?
Yeah,
So the same like kind of concept you can do within like the United States. I just feel like, I feel like the same as even though you're in a okay, I'll give you this. Like obviously you're in a foreign country, right? I'm sure a
hmm,
lot of girls would be more like receptive to you, kind of like what I said in the video, because they'll be interested, right? Like because you're not
yeah,
from their like native land. Like it makes a lot more sense. But the actual like process, the actual like procedure of like meeting women, you could do the same thing like
hmm,
in the US. You could still, if you have a great Instagram, you could still message a girl and you could still meet up with her. Cold approach, you could still do that in the US. Now, I know part of the reason, like, a lot of people will probably grill me is because like what you were talking about, they're more like receptive, like overseas. But at the end of the day, it's like, how much of a boost is that really going to take? Because you could go to a lot of cities in like every city in the US, it's different. You're going to have cities with pretentious people. You're going to have a lot of cities with people that have a lot more chiller vibes. So I think
yeah,
so I think the overall process is kind of the same, which is why to me, and again, like I said, my channel has always been tailored more towards like young adults. So for me, it's
right,
like, if you're somebody like your age, right? Like you're
yeah,
in your prime, like you're in that male advantage. You're 38, you said?
Yeah, I just turned 38
Yeah,
February.
happy birthday. But
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
yeah, so like someone for you, you know, being like a traveler, being like a passport bro, it makes a lot of sense. You're like really established, like you're in a really great place. For like the kind of audience that I'm getting to, more in like, you know, in their 20s, right? It's like at that
Yeah.
point in your life, it's like all the stuff that a lot of passport bros are saying where, you know, you can meet through like social connections and introducing yourself. Like you could do all those things, you know, in the US. And I really think like you shouldn't really jump on that bandwagon until you're really like kind of just settled in life, like financially, career wise. And like you said, man, I just feel like you as men, right? We mature like as we get older. We all know that. Like
Right.
males, our brains don't fully get mature till like 25, 26. And you know, it's kind of scary, like what you said
I would
about
say
like
like
the
30,
whole like
but yeah.
yeah, 30. Like it's crazy, man. And it's kind of scary, like what you said about like woman like taking advantage of you, and you know, and doing like you know what. So I think with all variety of all those factors, when you're like in your like mid 20s or young 20s, when you know you don't have all those stuff kind of established, I really do think guys should in their 20s kind of buckle down and settle on, you know, really improving their life instead of, you know, going overseas and trying to hop on the passport bro movement. It's really, I think, when you maximize your dating life like in your 20s and you really are figuring out that hey, like this isn't working, then it's like okay, I understand, like you're in your 30s, you want to try something new, you know, all to you. But I just think from like a financial standpoint and even like a common sense standpoint, it might not be like the best method.
Well, so I think, well, you know what? Let's continue with the video because I don't want to, just continue back and forth. Let's
Yeah,
go with the
yeah.
video. Okay.
Asia, Australia, the Middle East, Europe. Look, I get it, right? It's fun going abroad. My primary purpose when I travel, it's not to go on dates with girls, you know? I mean, think about it. Really, that's the primary purpose of you traveling to an entirely new country, nothing like the US. Whereas there's so many other cool shit that you could learn about, like their culture, the different food, the different environment as a whole, sightseeing, you know, exploring different areas. But no, you're gonna just your primary purpose is just to go do your dating life. Like, how about you travel and actually learn about the culture, actually do some cool stuff in these other countries instead of just focusing on, oh, I'm gonna go to Europe, I'm gonna go to Mexico, I'm gonna, you know, increase my dating life by traveling overseas. It's like, really, guys? If look, if you're a loser, what's there to say if you go to another country everything's going to be better? You're still going to be a loser. The only difference is you're just in another country. If you're a guy who sucks with talking to women, has no game, can't carry out a conversation, has nothing going for him, the only difference now is that you're just going to be that same exact person, but just in another country or somewhere overseas. And not only that, you're going to just be even more broke because now you're going to have to spend all this money on food, hotels, and figuring out your way how to get back to the US. I mean, is this really worth it at this point? I'm not saying don't.
So, all right. So I'll comment there, right? And so my feedback, I agree. If you're not good with women in the United States, you're probably not going to be good with women abroad. I do agree with that standpoint. I do agree with that standpoint. My my pushback, if you will, on what you have said, specifically on this part, is is that, like, with the with the traveling back and forth, sometimes it can actually, sometimes it actually could be less expensive, depending on the country that you're going to, right? So, let's say Colombia for an example. um the I believe $1 is almost 5,000 Colombian pesos. It's been fluctuating lately, but I think it might
Yeah.
be like it might be like 4.7 now.
Okay.
But long story short is that, like, you get, as far as, like, finding a place to stay, food, and what have you, you get more bang for your buck. But I do understand your overall premise, but I what I would say is that, like, Most brothers who travel are traveling for like the culture and things like that. These are people like
Okay.
more mature. Like for me, like I've had my passport since I was 3 years old, so I've been traveling
Yeah.
adolescent, right? Now there are like some like new age passport bros, and some of them do travel specifically for the woman, which me personally I have no problem with. I'm just of the mindset, like, as long as you get there safe and you get back safe, and you don't do like you don't do any passport pookie stuff, basically, like you don't do any ignorant stuff over there, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, like it's all good. Get your rocks off, however you want to do it. But that's me, right? That's
Right.
me, because I don't care what brothers are doing. I just want them to get there safe and get back safe. That's how I look at things. And I would say that, like, the vast majority are really going for the culture. Now there's some that want to improve their dating life. Like when I started going to Colombia, like I wasn't thinking about dating. Like I was, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
when I met my ex on Instagram, I was like, hey, this is a cute girl. Well, cute young woman. I don't want to say girl,
Yeah.
adult, but you know what I mean? This is an attractive woman. Let me hang out with her, maybe go on a date or two, whatever. And I'll see her when I see her. But like we we clicked in, and she got on my program ASAP. And so, like, yeah, so I was rocking out with her for almost 3 years. I would say that most of the brothers that I talk to, when they get into a relationship and or marriage, they weren't like necessarily looking for anything serious. They were dating, but when they found the woman that they're dating long term, or ended up being in a or end up marrying, it's really just by chance, just really not necessarily looking for anything serious, but it just happens.
Yeah, I think some of the issue, and you brought up a lot of good points. I like how you said, you met her without like your primary, without like necessarily like your purpose, like searching a wife, right?
Right,
Or
right.
searching for someone. You actually like are a guy who seems like, you actually enjoyed like visiting the country, learning about the culture, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I just think, I think maybe with like the social media and YouTube these days, it's like a lot of Passport Bros videos. It's like one of the primary purposes that I always, have been hearing. It's like, girls, women, modern women in America, like they're toxic. And I get it to a certain extent. That is definitely true. Like
Right,
there is such thing as toxic feminism. Like you'd be lying if you said there wasn't.
right,
But I
exactly.
think a lot of times, like when a lot of guys make like the Passport Bros videos, they keep building on like the concept of like dating life, getting better girls, getting better women. And it's like a lot of these Passport Bros videos, just the way, and hey, no, I could be wrong, but like the way it comes off to me, like personally, it's always been about like, girls, 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 improving their dating life, getting more, I guess, non-modern women, more, what's the word, more traditional women. And I feel
Yeah,
like a lot of guys just when they talk about it, it's one of the first things that, come out of their mouth. It's like, I'm traveling, for women, I'm traveling to better my like dating life. Like, even if they don't directly say it, it's like always just like, oh, I can't go wait and like meet new girls. And it's just like, well, it's like you're in a whole new country. Like, yeah, like it shouldn't be really one of your like, aren't you interested in like, the culture and like the food and the people? And you gave a good example with yourself, right? How like
mhm.
you were kind of like what I'm saying. It's like you, like, yeah, women were in the back of your head, but at the same time, the primary purpose you weren't there was to, find someone, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So I think what you're trying to get at, and I think where we kind of meet in the middle is like,
Yeah.
go for the culture and all that, and
And I,
once
I
you
mentioned like the blue book gentlemen. I think those guys kind of have, like the right idea a little bit, if that makes sense. Because like they
yeah,
talk,
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's, I mean, well, the thing is, the travel community as a whole, whether someone wants to call them whether someone wants to call themselves a passport bro, blue book gentleman, a traveler,
yeah,
all of us men are in society eyes, we're going to be all looped into one group, right? So at this point, the initial term of passport bro, like before it went mainstream, it really was about men traveling abroad to learn about the culture, to establish different businesses, resources, and through all of that, women were a byproduct of all of that, right? And so I think that um, some of the gentlemen have put themselves in a precarious situation, but also the media has spun it to where it's just that like all any brother that travels is basically just looking to just hook up with women, and that could be furthest from the truth. The media has spun that, but then also you do have some men, some men that have put out content that where it could be misconstrued because all throughout their content is just showing women. So I
Right.
do understand that. So there is that misconstrued detail on both sides. So I can
Yeah.
understand where some people would say that, but I do think that the critics need to do a lot more homework. Just because you see maybe two or three brothers that may have that on their channel, like there's so many brothers like that are in Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, and I mean we're talking tens and thousands of men. So like maybe there's maybe 1%, maybe 5% that are content creators, but most of the men that are in the travel groups and things like that, they are not content creators.
Yeah, man. You bring up a lot of good points for sure. But one
Yep.
thing I think that I do kind of want to like talk about,
Yeah.
and we might get into this like later on in my video, but
Sure.
my YouTube channel is really tailored for like the average guy or like the less than average guy who's trying to like self improve, right?
Right. Yep.
And if you look at, the average income of a guy in the US, it's probably like less than 50K a year, right? It's probably like 45, 40K a year.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of, go ahead.
Oh no, no. I was gonna say, I was gonna say, I believe the average salary, for a guy in the United States, I believe it's anywhere between 40 to 55K, and that's what all
Yeah.
races. That's all races.
Yeah. So when you look at that mark, it's like, if somebody's spending, and I know because I was at that salary range like 6 years ago, it was a struggle, right? Like I could
Mhm.
barely afford like anything with that money. And I
Right.
know like when you're trying to like travel overseas, it's going to cost money, it's going to add up. And you said how like the cost of living is cheaper. I can see that. But at the end of the day, things
Mhm.
add up, right? You go to drinks at the club, you pay for food. I don't think they use Uber down there, but like,
Yeah, they do.
oh,
In
okay,
Colombia,
yeah,
they do.
yeah, like you got Uber, hotels. I don't think I mentioned hotels. It still adds up, right? And then you look at, my YouTube channel where I'm trying to help out, like the average guy or even like the less than average guy. And it's like,
Mhm.
I'm telling them like, hey, you're gonna see basically the premise of the video to sum it up was like telling them, hey, you're gonna see, these groups of people who are passport bros, who are traveling, spending all this money going overseas. And yeah, it might sound very tempting, but right now in your life, you're an average guy, focus on leveling up your life. Focus on
Right.
that. Focus on maximizing your dating life in the US. And
Right.
maybe this is the red pill in me where it's like, don't chase women and really like stay single in your 20s and kind of settle down when you're 30. But really, I really do believe like
I
when
agree
you
with that. I agree with that sentiment.
yeah, I really do believe like as like a guy in your 20s, right? I think, especially like the average guy when you don't have a lot of money, you really have to
Mhm.
build up those finances. You have to build up your career. You have to gain knowledge. You have to travel, heck yeah. Like I said, I'm all for like traveling for fun like overseas.
Mhm.
Travel, within the US, travel to different countries. I'm all for that. Broaden your experience. And what I want to tell like a lot of guys, broaden your experience. Gain that experience throughout your 20s. And when you go through that dating life, if you get to that stage in your 30s, you're settled down, you're great career wise, financially wise, you can talk to girls, you have that experience, you've gone to different cities. At that point in your life, when you have the money and you want to do, whatever, you want to go overseas, you want to find a wife overseas, go ahead. But my video was more so just tailored to the average guy who might be seeing this password bro content, who might be like, okay, I'm going to go, overseas because, Tracy at the bar rejected me. I'm going to go overseas because I'm going to get a better dating life. And that shouldn't be really the case, So that's all I kind of wanted to address, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's continue because yeah, we have like about a little under 4 minutes left here on this video.
Don't travel. I've always encouraged traveling, learning about the world, getting out of your city, putting yourself out there. And I'm not even saying don't talk to girls at all. I mean, all I'm saying is when you're out traveling, yeah, if you have free time, you want to go out and spend a night out in the city, go talk to girls, meet other people, I'm all for that. But if your primary purpose of traveling, spending thousands of dollars every month going to different cities just so you can increase your dating life by just a little bit, is that really worth it at that point? There's like more than 50, 60 million attractive girls in the US already. Why do you have to go overseas? Like I said, if you're not good at talking to women already in the US, what makes you think that it's all going to change? The game is still the same, guys. The game is still the same. You still have to be able to be social and talk to women. Like, realistically, guys, how is this even going to work? Like, you want to get into a long-term relationship or even like somewhat serious relationship with somebody overseas, you're not feasibly, unless you're a celebrity, you're not feasibly going to be able to travel there every couple of weeks or even every month. Like, that's just a ton of money gone down the drain, just traveling. Is it really worth the effort trying to get into a relationship with some girl all the way in another country? Like, your time zones are going to be off. You're not going to be able to see her that much. I mean, let's be realistic. Unless you want to dish out your entire bank account every month doing this, why not just work on your dating life in your current city? Are you really that bad with forming any type of connection with girls in America, in a country where English is already your first language? Now you're so bad socially that now you have to go overseas. Like, does that make any sense?
Whew, okay.
Damn, we got a lot to unpack.
Right. I
I'm
mean,
sure the comments are going wild. I haven't looked
yeah,
at them,
it's
but
fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fine. We'll we'll get
we'll
to the
get through
comments.
it.
Yeah, we'll get to the comments. Now what I will say, now what I will say is that like like the women are more friendlier. I mean, you mentioned countries that you've traveled to. Um, I heard you say you've been to Europe. I know you've been to Asia because
Yeah,
Bangladesh, that's in
yeah,
Asia. I think you said Australia too.
yeah. I've
Okay,
been to Dubai as well.
okay.
I've been to
Have
Tulum.
you been anywhere like in um have you been what have you been anywhere in Latin America at all or no?
Honestly, I have not. No, so that's why I'm
Okay,
curious, man. I think, yeah.
okay. Now, but have you been to the Philippines, Thailand, or
Nope,
anywhere like that?
I have not.
Okay, but the fact that you've traveled abroad, so
Yeah,
the pushback would be is that um guys, guys would say, and I've seen this for myself. Guys would say that the women are more approachable. So like me personally, I do believe, and even some people in my chat, they even come after me, even though they support me, but they come after me, with this whole game thing. I do
yeah,
believe that you should have game overseas. However, what I will say though is that when it comes to approaching a woman, or courting a woman, if you will, that the women are easier to approach abroad as opposed to in the States, where like abroad, at least from my experience, if a woman is not interested in you, then she's not going to give you her number. Where like, have you heard of this? There was an article that came out last summer, and like it came out in the New York Times, and basically it's about these women, what they would do. they would go on dating apps and they would connect with the guy, go out to eat with the guy, and then ghost him. And basically, like the nickname was called Foodie Calls, and it actually came out on the New York Post. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, so
it sounds
it's a real
familiar.
thing
Yeah.
that happened. Yep. Hold on. Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, you're good.
Um, yeah. No, but yeah. So what I was saying is that yeah. So that was an article that came out last summer. So and that's a real thing. So like the thing is typically, and again, I can't say all, but typically, the woman that you meet abroad, like they're going out with you because there's a genuine interest. Um, Here, if you go out with a woman, sometimes it may not be a genuine interest. It may be because maybe she actually wants to see that place. Like if you say, "Hey, you know what? You know, um, man, I saw this nice restaurant on, I saw this nice restaurant, in Midtown Manhattan. I'm from New York City, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would say, I seen it in Midtown, and then the woman wants to go, and you may think that she wants to go because she has a genuine interest in getting to know you, but no, it's because she wants to go to that restaurant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and again, I'm not saying all, but like these are
Oh
the,
yeah, no, they're definitely, yeah.
yeah. And these are the stories that I've heard, and I've gone through, this experience within myself, where like I've gone out with a woman, to different places or whatever, and like I realized, like, okay, like she just really wanted to go to that place. Like, yeah, she and I, we had cool conversation, but she wasn't really feeling me like that. She wanted to go to that particular place. And other guys, and a lot of guys in the manosphere, and I'm sure like they've had similar conversations where it's like, hey, you know what? I went out with this woman, and this woman ghosted me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they wanted to go to that particular restaurant or wherever they were going. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah,
how. I'm
of
sorry. Go ahead.
course. Yeah, I mean, definitely, no one ever said, dating's easy, right? You always
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough. You never really know like a woman's true attention, especially these days, man, with like
Very
not even
true.
just social media, but just like the rise of how women are just like, oh, we don't need it like a man in our life, and then stuff like that. And then
Right.
it's like they
Exactly.
feel like
Exactly.
so entitled, and it's
Yeah.
wild. You really don't know like what you're gonna get. But I
Yeah.
guess like my question, or I guess I don't want to call it a rebuttal. I think we're having a really good discussion. But like
Sure.
my thing is, so like you say that like in general, that's very common in like America, right? How like
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
common. Yeah.
yeah.
It's common. It's common in the West. I mean, I haven't. I haven't. I haven't. I haven't really received. I haven't really received like any like. I don't really know about Canada like that. I
I
mean,
mean, we can count Canada out. That's like not really,
mm,
I
well,
mean,
well,
technically it's out of the US, but
yeah, well, I have relatives in the UK, and they said that like like stuff like that does happen over there too,
yeah.
where
And
like
it's
where a woman
yeah.
will go out with you, but it's not like genuine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think, the more I think about it, I guess you could make the case it's like a country to country like kind of basis too. Um,
Yeah, very, very, very true, very, very
yeah.
true. So
Um,
yeah,
but actually, I would be very interested to kind of explore Latin America to actually, like see what you're saying. So for sure, you do bring up a lot of good points, but I do think, there are going to be like you said, like, yeah, there's toxic women in Europe, there's toxic women in America. I'm sure not
yeah.
everyone in, Latin America is upfront and 100% honest either.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, but the pushback is that like, um, more women are going to be more transparent with you than not. So, and a lot of the men who are traveling, like they don't, they don't have time to waste. So it's like, hey, listen, like it's either you're rocking with me or you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't want to get too long winded. So let's continue here.
So, to all my passport bros out there, man, if you're actually genuinely like traveling, if you like learning about other cultures, if you like doing stuff for fun, traveling the world, really exploring and seeing what's out there, yeah, all for it. And again, I'm not saying, when you go travel overseas, not to talk to girls. Of course, talk to girls, go out, meet other women. But at the same time, if dating and getting with girls is your primary focus when you're traveling abroad, it's kind of pathetic if you really think about it. I mean, you're already in a country with a population of over 50 million, 60 million, over 70 million attractive girls. It's like, why? Why? Now, if you want to get better with girls and you are somebody who's really, really
I'm
struggling,
like
I encourage
advertising.
you to
This
set
wraps
up
it
a
up.
free consultation phone call with me. We'll take a look into your lifestyle. I can give you tons of advice and tips on how to better your dating life. A good place to start if you're someone who's completely lost, looking to just jumpstart your dating life. Go ahead, check out my email, send me an email message with the subject matter lifestyle changes and book a free consultation call. We'll work through this. We'll get your lifestyle better so it's more fun. We'll work on your dating life, put you in a really good place to start. I can definitely help you jumpstart your lifestyle, jumpstart that dating life. And again, the best part about this is it's absolutely free, no charge. So you can either take my advice, don't take my advice, listen to me, don't listen to me. You got literally nothing to lose, man. I'm giving you free advice through a 30-minute.
All right, cool. Yeah, so
I appreciate you playing the whole video, man, and having the patience for it.
oh yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's 6 minutes. There is another video I did want to play. Um Hold on, but before I do that, let me I do have some super chats, so let me get to
This will be
those super
fun.
chats. Let me get to those super chats. Yeah, I saw all of you guys commenting, so I'm definitely gonna get to you guys' comments. Super chats do jump the line. My man Will is in the building. Thank you for the super chat. Here's my answer to the question: you can use dating apps, meet them in the malls, restaurants, gyms, at the beach, bowling alleys, um, through networking, coffee shops. Just say hello anywhere. And so this was going back into when you were asking me, like, where do guys typically meet women abroad? That's what Will was answering. Shout out to my man Will for the super chat. Will comes back at it again. He says, "I am not a passport bro. I'm a traveler. Y'all act like y'all don't know how to talk to women." I'm not sure who y'all are, but I hear what you're saying, Will. Definitely. Oh man, the art of Will is in the building. Um, Now he asks, does he charge the same amount like the guy whose wife hangs lower than Jibs's
Pretty
chain?
sure I
Okay,
said free like a million times.
no. This was
Or is he
old. So
talking about something else?
no. He was asking about you, but I'm saying like that was
Oh,
old though. Yeah, that was old. So he didn't, because like you just said in the video that your consultation was free, but
yeah.
yeah, so that's all. Let's see. um Hold on, I'm trying to get to you guys' comments here. Okay, I remember this is where I left off at. Culture Invasion is in the building. Definitely appreciate you. Please like the stream, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Definitely make sure that you guys subscribe to my guest channel. Whether you agree to disagree, but he's definitely starting out his channel now, so definitely show him some love. Let's get his
It's
subscriber count
funny,
up.
man, because like it's funny how like red pill, blue pill, black pill, we all like disagree, but at the same time, we all are trying to help like young men out there. That's what's kind of funny about it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like I'm on. Well, I don't know about blue pill, but you know,
Well, yeah, okay, we can
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Red pill, black pill, yes, but blue pill, no. You know, blue,
We can
like,
talk
yeah,
about them later, but
yeah, because the blue pill, yeah, the blue pill is a hindrance. You
yeah.
know, the blue pill, like that's kryptonite right there. King Angel is in the building, and then he says the man who probably has hella options. Not sure what he's talking about. Cortez Smith is in the building. Cliche talking points. Let's see here. At Kings and Dreams, Passport Bros should stay in the U.S. Oh, me looking awkward as hell, finalizing my quick trip to
Hey,
Germany.
I'm not forcing you to do anything, man. It's your life.
No.
You don't have to
He's
listen
making a
to
joke. He's
it.
making a joke.
DC.
Melanated Lux asked where you were located. I think I didn't answer that. I think
Yeah,
I told her that you were in
DMV.
the DMV.
Yeah,
Why travel 50 states when I can just go to Mexico? That's actually a good question.
you could. No one's
Y-
stopping you. But I mean, when I think of passport bros, I'm talking about like strictly like overseas. But yeah, I mean,
Okay.
because like I've been to Tulum, and I feel like for like a certain instance, I feel like the culture it's different. Obviously Spanish speaking people, but you know, when I'm thinking of passport bros, I'm thinking a little bit more. What's the word? Just like more far out. You know what I mean? Like Latin America.
Okay. So you're saying okay. So you're saying so you wouldn't count Mexico in that?
I mean, it's like we can count Mexico in that. Yeah, he brings up a good
Because
point. You could
Mexico
go
is
to Mexico.
huge.
Yeah,
Mexico
Mexico
is
is huge.
huge.
Now that I really think about it, yeah,
Yeah, I was like, yeah, you got it.
yeah.
Mexico is huge. Shout out to my man QB Passport flexing. You know, that's a Mexico thing. Um, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, ain't red pill. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was answering her. If you're older, what woman? Hold on. If you're older, what woman in America can you date?
A lot. Women value older men. Women want high value men. Older men, they have a lot of things figured out, right? You know,
Yeah.
career, finances. They know like what they want in a woman. They know it. They're not wishy-washy. And we can even break it down to the basics, right? They're not living in
Mhm.
their mom's house. You know, they're
Right.
confident. They've been through like hell and back, most of them. When you're in the
Right.
male advantage, you know, like think about it this way, right? Would
Mhm.
a girl, would a younger woman, would they want, you know, Joe Schmo who's like living in his mom's basement, not financially well off, or would they want that older, high value man who's been through the fire, has it all? So
Oh
you have a
yeah.
lot of options as you get older, man, and a lot of guys they
Oh,
just don't realize
absolutely.
that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, yeah, no, you absolutely right. I definitely like right now. I have a lot of options. Sometimes too many, but you know, but that's a
Yeah.
conversation for another day. Let's see here. Sears in the building. I've been to DC. They got him out there. I see why he's chatting like that, but I ain't moving there. Not moving to DC. Not hey. Okay, Melanated Lux says, "Hey, no velvet slander will be tolerated." Yeah, because
Appreciate it.
she's from the DMV too. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shout out to my man Gerard in the building. Michigan is in the building. Detroit. Most men in this movement are in their 30s to 50s. He meant to say movement, but he said moment. But I know he meant to say movement. Let's see here. Men from all major cities are saying the same thing about women, though. About like quality woman is like, you know, kind of hard to find. That's what he's talking about. Let's see. You actually save more money being overseas. DC dating market is pretty terrible, allegedly. Um, Melanated Lux said there's too many options in DC. So I guess that's a good problem to have. Charles Jones says, okay, let me speak on this. Black men aren't seen as sexy or attractive in this country. That's why we have the mindset that we do. If black men were held in a higher level by United States society, then we'd be good. Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that comment. Oh man, I don't know about that comment, man. I think that like the black men are attractive. I think that what it is that the society in the West is so liberal that the men, all men, but I'll specifically go to the black community. With the black community, the men have allowed the woman to take on this masculine role, and then the men take on this feminine pandering role. And then what ends up happening is that the women are so masculine, and that the men pander to these women, like when they say, oh, you a queen, or whatever the case is. And it's like, how could she be a queen without a king? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense, and it's just like, you know now like it started in our community, but now it's starting to branch out
Yeah,
because
that's
everyone.
a really good point you made. Like, how can she be a queen like without a king?
Right. So you have these pandering men. So I don't it doesn't have anything to do with the looks, but it has to do more or less with the mentality. um let's see here. It's not just for women. They are the extra credit. Shout out to my man Pool Man Detroit is in the building again. Um, Cortez says embrace it. Let's see here. Melanated, too many options for women. Um, Going overseas gives us an advantage as we are seen in a higher esteem than we are domestically. You come from a realm where you're seen in a good light. Where you're seen in a good light, we're not.
Oh, well, I'm a minority too, actually. Like, I've actually struggled a lot. I got made fun of a lot when I was in school, got called names like terrorist. I don't want to go into too much detail, but yeah, I mean, I'm not my race is also seen like in a pretty bad light. So I don't think that's a very good like argument.
Yeah. Um,
I think just in general, when you're a minority in the US, it's tough.
yeah, I would agree with that. I think being a minority in the West is tough.
Yeah, but the
uh,
thing, I'd always tell like people, it's like don't let that stop you. Like
right,
even regardless of race, like
right. Okay, these guys are talking to each other. Let's
uh
see. Cortez says, okay, talking to each other again. Um, okay, he says, I don't think he knows that Passport Bros is about moving overseas.
so when you're a young man, so like I said earlier, my channel is mostly tailored to younger audience, like 18 to 25.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about. It's like, do you have the money? Can you afford really moving overseas? And at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, even if you're an older guy, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like from what I've seen from a lot of these videos, a lot of them don't they're talking about traveling like to other countries. They don't talk about
Mm-hmm.
settling down, moving
Right.
everything from one spot to the other. So I mean,
Right.
if it's, actually moving overseas and you're in a really good spot, like, older guy, have everything settled down, hey, like all for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Charles said that he didn't know that you were Middle Eastern.
Uh, no worries, man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Most guys are trying to be like expats. Like I go to Colombia like 6 to 8 times a year. So I guess people consider me a half pack because I have an apartment there.
So
So
would you consider, because you'd consider yourself like a passport guy or like a blue book
I try.
gentleman or not
Uh,
really?
I really try not to go with like the labels. Like what I would call myself is that I'm a traveler. If people want
Yeah,
to, people say, hey, passport bro, hey, blue book
yeah,
gentleman, whatever the case is. But the thing about it is that like we're all one big group, but we're all subsectors. So think about it like this, right? Like how you have hip hop, you got like drill music, then you got conscious music. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You got underground music, you got battle rap, but it's all under one big umbrella.
Right,
So,
right.
you know,
I got you.
Yeah, so that's, like that's how I try to do it, because I try not to like alienate myself from, from anybody, you know what I mean? Because,
Yeah,
yeah, because I'm cool with some guys that go and monger. I'm cool with guys that go and actually, check out the check out the culture and things like that.
yeah,
And some guys just strictly go to monger, you know what I mean? I'm just like, hey,
yeah.
if you're gonna do that, get there safe, get back safe.
Right. Yeah.
That's all I care about. You know what I mean? Um, let's see. Um, I was about a minute and a half. Oh, why is it? Because I was playing a video, bro. I'm about to play another video next. Let's see here. Man, shout out to CB Passport Strengthen. Velvet Cake sounds real biographical and philosophical. How the way he's spitting his words of knowledge when it comes to women in Western society. I don't know. I guess that's a good thing. I don't see that being a bad thing.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Brian England says this is a great discussion. We'll say I dated a girl. I met her through travel, and the long distance did not work. I mean, yeah, I mean it all depends on like how often you're able to get out there, right? So, kind of goes back into what Velvet Cakes was saying, like if you don't have the means to get out there kind of like frequently, at least like 6 times a year, then it's not worth it.
And that's a lot of effort, even if it's just, not even that far away. Traveling, I think in general is just,
Yeah.
it always requires effort and finances and
Well, yeah.
resources for sure.
Well, true, but yeah, and see, this is the reason why, like, I ended up getting my apartment, and so when I'm not there, I turn it into an Airbnb. So
That's smart.
now, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So now my travel pays for itself.
Ah,
Yeah.
good point.
Yep. So if you're gonna be going out there often like that, get some sort of business, so this way your
Sure.
travel pays for itself. Let's see here. Okay, these guys are talking to each other. My man Deuce is in the building. Let's see. Oh, that's Denise. Sorry, Denise. I thought it was my man Deuce. Denise. The women in the DMV are terrible.
They are kind of
Shout
pretentious.
out
I
to
will say that.
Denise. Oh man, that's funny. They are terrible, but some of them are fine as hell. I had a great time out there. Yeah, Melanated Lux is fine. So yep. They do have some beautiful women in the DMV, and can't even front on that one. They may be fine, but not worth the trouble. Okay, let's see.
What up?
Proface in the building. What up, fellas? See here. Good evening, chat. So I don't have any trouble getting ladies, but still okay. Oh, I thought you were a woman, but okay, got it. Nah, my bad, Cortez, my brother. Okay. So Cortez says, what if they can't attract women in their city? That's a reason to travel. All right, so answer this, and then I'm gonna go to another video.
Well, who says you got to travel out of the US, right? You could travel to other cities in America. Not every city is the same. It's still different dynamics. I'd say, Miami is a very, very different place from Boston, Massachusetts, or New York.
Right. Okay.
Again, I don't think, when people watch the video, I think people thought I was like against traveling before kind of understanding what I was saying, but yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
tough,
I think
It's tough, like, getting points across because some people are gonna watch just a little bit and think, like, that's the whole video. You know how it's like, being a
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, yeah, we come in this microwave age, and then like we watch like the first like 30 seconds. Someone says
Yeah.
something that someone doesn't like, and then they turn the video off, right? You know what I mean? And,
Or
and
they post it
so
on, like, TikTok and it goes viral and you're depicted as, like, a hater or whatever, but
right, and right. No, I get it, and so this is one of the reasons why I wanted to play the video, so we could actually have a discussion
yeah.
live about it. so this way people can can truly understand what your point of view actually
Yeah.
is. Let's see. Sorry, just give me a moment. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen again. Let me all know when you can see my screen. Mm-mm-mm-mm. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. All right, put a one in the chat if everyone can see my screen. Put a one in the chat if you can see my screen. Okay. All right. Shout out to my man Jay Fleming. So this video right here is just gonna show brothers with their ladies and or wives. You know what I mean? So hold on. Shout out to my man Jay Fleming for that. Um yeah, I mean, so there are definitely there are definitely brothers that are in um real relationships actually. So from what I know personally, three of the brothers that you know no four of the brothers are actually married and live abroad. So this thing can work. What I do know is that so your demographic is between the ages of 18 to 25. So I
Yeah,
would say
and something, well, actually, I'll let you go ahead. I had something I wanted to mention in the video, but you were going on a good
oh no,
point.
no well okay, well I'll wrap it up really quick. But
No,
what
no,
I was
take
just
your time. It's good. Yeah.
yeah, but well, what I was just gonna say is that like I know four couples that are married, and in that video, and so like the thing is with not saying you've said this, but the critics will say like, oh, these guys are just coming over there for for X tourism, and it's like yeah, like you have like a percent of a percent that do that, but as I mentioned, like there's tens and thousands of men who travel, and you're only seeing a percent, which are like maybe what, like 4 or 5 content creators or something like that. You know what I mean? But like that could be furthest from the truth. Like these men are really, going out there to establish different businesses, establish resources, and the women are a caveat of that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
one of my guys, Love Purpose and Passports, he lives in the Dominican Republic now, and he had been dating his woman for 7 years before they got married. Typically I would only advise anyone to for that long. Typically I would say like 2 years, really 2 years. After like 2 years you got to make a decision. You're either going to marry her or move on. That's just the way
Yeah.
I'm on it. You know what I mean? But long story short is that like men are going for the most part, like they will get into long-term relationships and or marriage. So this ex tourism thing, like I mean, it's a percent of a percent, but it's not the main thing of what guys go for. And then I'm sorry, you were gonna talk. What say you now?
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed this, but you said the whole stuff about people going like abroad for like their businesses and like their career, and women kind of being like on like the side, but then it just so happens they spend time in the country, they meet women, and when you analyze that video, right, I can guarantee you, like all the guys in that video, most of them are probably high value men, past the age of 26, 27, or at least from what it looked like, they're a lot older men. They're more established. They have the finances to do it. They're
Right.
high value men. They've been through, heck and back. They've grinded throughout their 20s. I don't think in that single video I saw a man that, at least from a visual perspective, it didn't look like a single guy was really under the age of like 26, if I'm being like completely honest. And I've said this like again a bunch of times, like if you've grinded throughout your 20s and you're in a really good spot like financially, and you've maximized your dating life in the US, and you're a high value man and you want to go overseas, play the field, work on your business, move there permanently, I'm all for that, because at that moment you have proved yourself. You are in a really good spot. So what I wanted to kind of get at is, a lot of people in that video, they all look like a lot older, like more mature men, as opposed to men like in their mid to like early 20s who could be wasting a lot of like thousands of dollars, like I said, going like overseas. So that's just a quick point I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's actually a good point. I would say I think that the only I think maybe two or three were under 30. I believe Jay Fleming he's I think he's 29, or he just turned 30.
Yeah.
My fault, Jay. If you're in here, I know, I think Jay Fleming might have just turned 30, but and I'm sure you heard the name Austin Holloman. He was actually the first one in the video. And so Austin Holloman is 23. He'll be 24 next week. Yeah, so he'll be 24 next week. But yeah, as you mentioned, most of the guys are, typically like in their 30s and established. So, definitely you are absolutely correct about that. I'm trying to get this one last video, but this video is not agreeing with me, man. I don't know why. Hold on. I'm gonna try it one more time. All
Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. If this thing doesn't work, man, if this thing doesn't work, I'm gonna be upset. Let me see. Oh shoot! It says something went wrong. Don't tell me the video got deleted. Hold on. I hope the video didn't get deleted. I highly doubt that it got deleted though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Instagram is being a pain in the you know what.
Is
But
there like a similar topic video to it?
I mean, I could speak to it.
Okay.
You and I were talking about it. Backstage before we got on. So basically, basically, what it is that this guy he works. This guy he's married. He works two jobs, and he comes home, and he's asking his wife like, "What's for dinner?" Uh, his wife is eating a pizza, offers him like a piece of her pizza. So not even a whole slice, a piece of her pizza. So
Oh man.
yeah. So the husband's like, okay, like what's going on here? And he, and he's upset, visibly upset, and he's like, you don't have to pay any bills. I pay the car note.
Right.
I pay the mortgage. He's basically giving a
Yeah,
list
he's
of
pissed,
everything.
as any man should be in that
Right,
scenario.
exactly. So he's giving a list of everything that he has to pay. I mean, everything that he pays. And so the woman is just saying, and the woman's like, well, that's what a man's supposed to do, protect and provide. And he's like, yeah, and as my wife, you should be able to have a meal for me. you know, and like this woman, like it was just so like man, like if I was him, I would have been running. I would have been running to because the post where the passport office is in Washington, it's in Washington D.C. I would have, man,
Yeah.
listen, I would have called you and been like, listen, I need to I need you to go, I need you to go to and fill out the passport paperwork because I need that thing tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just because this man is doing all of this work, works 2 jobs, he's paying all the bills, and then come home to your wife, you know, basically the pizza's pretty much gone. So he doesn't even have any pizza. He doesn't even have any pizza. No meal. And it's just like this woman is so entitled. So the reason why I
Yeah.
wanted to play the video is just to show how like things have gotten, you know, things have gotten bad. Now, again, I'm not saying, you know, I'm not saying everywhere, but I
Right.
do understand why these men would say, like, yo, I'm out because
Right.
you know, with that specific situation,
Yeah, that was
the
messed up situation. Yeah.
yeah, this, you know, this man, you know, this man is doing everything. His wife is comfortable, doesn't have to pay anything, and it's like you can't even have a meal waiting for me when I get home. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And so like in these other, you know, in these other countries, like these, you know, these women are so, you know, these women are so quick to cook. You know, with my ex, like we, you know, we spoke every day. And you mentioned like FaceTime and all that,
Right.
you know. So like, well, we would, you know, we would talk on WhatsApp video chat, and you know, and like, and if I told her like I didn't eat, like she would get upset. Like she would get upset, like, why didn't you eat? Oh my goodness, you know, she would make like a big
Right.
problem out of it, you know. And then like, you know, when I'm over there and we're hanging out, you know, like she's, you know, she's quick to cook. Like I don't even have to say anything, and she just starts cooking immediately. So you know, so the whole purpose of me wanting to play that video was just to show how like how frustrated how some of the men here in the states are, you
Yeah,
know.
I can see that, man. And wow, yeah, there's a lot to dive into that clip. First off, yeah, regardless of whatever stance you take, you should leave that girl. Like that was just messed up in general. No
Mhm.
question about that.
Right.
But I don't know though if I would like go necessarily book like go to DC and like I don't know, go to the passport office and fly off to another country. I would definitely not be with the girl, you know. I would leave her, possibly go to another city somewhere. I wouldn't say I'd take it that far extreme to go out of the country just yet. But yeah, you know, I could see the frustration and how, you know, guys might want a more or guys want like, you know, not a more like traditional woman and not, you know, this modern day toxic like world that we live in where it's like you can't even like cook a simple meal. Like you literally give this man, like a grown man, like a slice of pizza. Like, yeah, like every guy would say like that's pretty pathetic. I mean, no question about that. But and it
Right.
kind of comes down to, you know, and I understand, right? You know, go to other countries, you have more of the traditional woman, but you know, who's to say like you have to date white women in America, right? There's a lot of other cultures. There's a lot of Hispanic women that'll cook. There's a lot of Indian women, South Asian women that in America, living in America that still do have those traditional values. So yeah, there's a lot to that's going on in that clip. But yeah, I mean he had every right to be pissed for sure.
Well, you know the thing is, and I agree. Like there's, you know, there's a lot, but the thing is that they're either few and far in between, or they've already gotten picked up already. So it's like looking for like a needle in a haystack full of needles, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You know, like I said, like no one said, you know, dating wasn't supposed to be easy for a man, right? You know, we're all
Yep.
like cavemen out in this world, just like competing for each other. It's
Right.
definitely tough, but you know, I
Yep.
wouldn't just, you know, give up, right? You know, like I said,
Yeah.
the whole, you know, you can go like overseas if you want, if that's like an option, but at the same
Right.
time, for if like you're a young adult and you're like 25 and that happens to you, I wouldn't say just, you know, go book like your passport and go overseas at that point. I mean, I would
Right.
just say leave the girl, leave the relationship, leave the girlfriend, your wife, whatever it is. If you're like a young adult, you know, go somewhere else,
Right.
find another like high quality girl. And it's tough to say because like Yeah, there are a lot of shitty females. There's also a lot of shitty men, right? It goes
Yeah,
like
that's say
both
that.
ways.
That's facts. That's facts.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do think it's definitely tough. Unfortunately, the way like feminism has gone in this society, it's like it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But, there are still like high quality women out there, and dating's not meant to be easy, and I really urge, expand your horizons, expand them throughout the US, man. And, if you want to go overseas, you have the money financially for it, no, by all means, go.
Yeah, man. Do you have like, let's say like 10 more minutes for like one more video? I was gonna play one more video, and this is actually gonna hit home for you, because this is actually talking to more or less your demographic as far as with the age group.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So let me just pull up this video here. Since I couldn't play the third video, I figured, make this one the third video. All right. So all put a one in the chat if you can see my screen.
Oh, everyone's talking about this clip.
Which clip?
I think the one you're about to play with the CNN.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Have you seen this?
I actually haven't seen the whole thing though. So
Okay. All right.
yeah,
So this is good to break down then.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is why the rate of single men in the US looking for dates has declined. So yeah, this is definitely your demographic. Okay, I see some ones in the chat. All right, let's get it going.
Last week, I delved here into recent data from the CDC suggesting major problems with regard to the mental health of our adolescents, surges in depression and suicidal ideation, especially true for our girls. This week, I found cause to worry about young men. This headline from The Hill, it caught my eye. Most young men are single. Most young women are not. The story reported that as of 2022, Pew Research Center found 30% of U.S. adults are neither married, living with a partner, nor engaged in a committed relationship. Nearly half of all young adults are single. Now, look at these numbers. 34% of women, twice as many, a whopping 63% of men. What explains that? I pulled the Pew study and I read with interest. Turns out since 2019, the share of single men who say they're looking for dates or a relationship has declined from 61% to 50%. In 2018, 28% of men ages 18 to 30 reported they'd had no sex in the past year, compared with 18% of women of that age. The Hill report said men in their 20s are more likely than women in their 20s to be romantically uninvolved, sexually dormant, friendless, and lonely. They stand at the vanguard of an epidemic of declining marriage, sexuality, and relationships that afflicts all of young America.
What are your thoughts so far?
I have a ton to say on this, but I could sum this up as I have said in the past. Women want older men. Women want men during the male advantage in their peak,
Right.
in their 30s.
Right. So with you, okay, so like let me kind of push your buttons a little bit more, bro. Okay, so what I'm saying is that like you have someone that is under 30, let's say they're around 20, 21, 22, they're trying to court a woman. What's your advice for them?
I really do think, and again, they don't have to take my advice, but my advice for them is look where you are at your life right now, right? 21, 22. I know you're probably horny. You see social media, you see girls, you're out partying probably. You have not yet developed as a man. You have not hit your peak yet. Like at 20, like under the age, like when you're in your early 20s, like you don't really have much to offer. Like the average man does not have much to offer. He probably has thousands of dollars in student debt, right? His confidence is all over the place. He's scatterbrained. He's not settled in his career. What does he have? What's his experience with girls? Really, he hasn't probably dated as much throughout like his early 20s compared to a guy who's in his later 30s or mid 30s. it's like you're all over the place when you're young, and you really shouldn't be focusing. You really shouldn't be trying to like settle down when you're in your 20s. You really get it's through casually dating and your experiences in life that you go through in your 20s prepares you for the male advantage, which will kick in your 30s. So my advice to him is like, man, what's the rush, man? What's the rush? I can explain to the guy, all I want. He could take my advice. He cannot take my advice, but things get better for men if they put the work in their 20s, and they will see it when they're in their early 30s. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I agree. The words that stick out to me is sexually dormant. So like, they're like, hey, you know what? I understand. Basically I got to get my weight up, right? You know what I mean? So like I have to get all the tools and all that. But are you saying that basically like I can't get none until I'm 30? You know what I mean? So like,
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying,
no,
like
no,
I
no, no, no,
said.
no, no. I'm playing devil's advocate. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
so the main point is I encourage guys to casually date. I'm not saying throw away your dating life and don't talk to girls. Obviously, you, like I said, casually date, know what type of girls you want, practice talking to girls, go on dates, work on your dating life. And if you do all those things, yeah, you are gonna get more experience with like your sex life through it. All I'm saying is your primary purpose in your 20s shouldn't be to be settling down. You have just
Got it,
so
got
much
it,
going
got it.
on.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's continue.
Among the causes, among the factors, a reliance on social media and online porn. But also, more young women are hooking up with each other or dating and marrying slightly older men, and heterosexual women are getting more choosy. Other troubling statistics about men come from a 2021 study from the Survey Center for American Life. They found the share of men who have 6 or more close friends, which in 1990 was 55%, by 2021 had shrunk by half. Meanwhile, those with literally 0 close friends, which stood at 3% in 1990, has zoomed to 15%. An expert quoted by The Hill said this disconnect can have catastrophic consequences for young men. Quote, in the worst case scenario, the young American man's social disconnect can have tragic consequences. Young men commit suicide at 4 times the rate of young women. Younger women are largely responsible for rising rates of mass shootings, a trend that some researchers link to their growing social isolation.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean,
That's a lot, right?
it's a lot. It's a lot to unravel, and as a like men's self-improvement YouTuber, right? It's tough to like see stuff like that, and it really just I really think it brings out the importance of, not just women's mental health, but men's mental health too. And,
Hmm.
I like how he kind of showcased that there are a lot of like single like men out there who, they're struggling. And, I think as friends, you really, as like, men, you need to strive to, not just work on your dating life, but you need to find like, branch out, right? Make connections with other young men kind of like in your demographic. So during those tough times, you can really like lean on other people and have like supporters, No one's really saying you got to navigate this like confusing world like by yourself. And to a lot of like young men out there, put yourself out there, join like activities with other people who have like similar interests. Build like your social circle, man. No one says you have to go through this by yourself, but I can definitely see why it's tough.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think kind of what it goes back to what I was saying earlier when it comes to social media. Like social media is a gift and also a curse because where you have some of these men that are socially awkward, where it's like they can just kind of be in their own bubble and just be on social media and not really interact face to face. And so that kind of grows into more like the incel nature where
Yeah.
yeah, and then also like with the 4 stages of the red pill, where men are, these young men are stuck on red pill rage, and it's like,
Yeah, even the red pill, like it can take kind of a toxic like turn. So that's
well,
why,
yeah. So
yeah.
sorry, not to cut you off, but I was just gonna say, yeah, like with the 4 stages of the red pill. I'm not sure if you know the 4 stages. But the so the first stage is basically like shock and realizing what's going on, like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean, like, this
Yeah.
is how, like, we were raised to think that society is this way, but society is actually this way. So you come into the realization, it's like the awakening, so you have the shock and awe. And
Yeah.
then, then the second stage is like the rage, because now you're getting over the shock, now you're angry, because it's like, wow, like I really thought it was this way, but it's really this way. And so a lot of men, especially the men that they're talking about, the young men, are in that incel red pill rage, and like they need guys like you, who are talking to them to get them out of that, because with this incel nature, because they're either going to delete themselves, or when they talk about mass deletion, when you got people that are going to these random schools and doing mass deletion, like those are like incel type of guys.
Yeah, man. It's definitely wild for sure. And that kind of goes to like, no, the red pill in terms of like self-improvement and becoming the best possible version of yourself. That's more so of the points of the red pill that I align with. But at the same time, it's like does have kind of that toxic side where it's like you watch a lot of like red pill channels, right? Like what's one of the most common themes is like they're gonna call out like women, right?
Yeah.
Like they're gonna call out, they're gonna say stuff how like modern women, they're toxic, and they do make a lot of great points too.
Yep.
But I think if you keep like, and the black pill does this a lot, but in terms of looks, they
Yeah,
like
yeah.
keep emphasizing the same like points again and again. But it's like, is that really helping you if like you keep re-emphasizing a point that we all know? It's like, of course it's hard, right? Of course there are a lot of toxic feminist like women out there, but it's like,
Mhm.
how many podcasts, how many of these red pill podcasts can you have talking about the same thing again and again? And I look up to like guys, like, I watch like some of the Fresh and Fit content. They have a great like daytime show where they talk about, leveling up as a man and like finances and career and stuff like that. But then
Yep.
it's like a lot of times the nighttime stuff, it's like, it's the same stuff over and over again. You know what I mean? It's like, we get it, we get it. Like our lives as men, they're very tough. And if you keep promoting like toxic stuff like that, it's going to give a lot of young men the wrong, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the wrong interpretation. And it's
Like
like
the
going to
wrong
put them
like the
down a
wrong
mental,
message.
like, yeah, the wrong message. Like it's going to put a lot of young men down the rabbit hole, And it's like
Right.
similar to how like the black pill, they always talk about like looks and like height. It's like, yeah, of course you have to look smacks. We know that. Of course it's going to be tougher for a guy that's like less than average looking. We already know that. But it's like, how many times do we have to watch these same like manosphere, red pill, black pill content again and again, emphasizing the same thing? When can we actually like take action? You know what I mean? So
It's an excellent point. All
yeah.
right, let's continue here.
Well, those words reminded me of a conversation that I had over a year ago right here on CNN with NYU professor Scott Galloway.
But the issue is when you have a group of men, the lower half of attractiveness of men in online dating, which has doubled, now it's about half of relationships, and the top 20% of men in terms of attractiveness get about 60% of the interest. You end up with a group of men that are more prone to conspiracy theory, more prone to misogynistic content, more prone to not believe in climate change. So this is the American story. If it's written with a pen whose ink is failing young men, does not end well. This is an existential crisis, failing young men.
As always, Professor Galloway was prescient. Back with me now is Scott Galloway. He's a professor of marketing at NYU Stern School of Business. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's the host of the Professor G podcast and author of multiple best-selling books, most recently, Adrift, America in 100 Charts. Scott, thanks for returning. Hasn't the advantage always been to those with the looks and or the money? What's changed?
First off, Mike, I just want to say thank you for raising this issue a year ago when a lot of media companies were afraid to talk about this for fear of it being pro-men with somehow being anti-women. Look, this is returning to the natural order of things for the majority.
Hold on, but before he continues, you know, like you see how like they kind of slipped that in there where it's
Yeah.
like the pro men, and that's the thing, and you know, not to kind of get too off topic here, but it's like a lot of these companies are afraid to be pro men because they automatically assume that it's anti-woman, and
It's
this is another
insane.
reason, why men travel, because the thing is, like, abroad, places are pro men, not necessarily anti woman. But the thing is that when you are a masculine male in the West, it's like you're called misogynistic. You know, you're called all of these names. And the thing is that, like, if you are a man that's disagreeable, you know, toxic masculinity, red
Right.
pill popper, or and all of these other things, and it's crazy. But I just wanted you to peep how they snuck that in there.
Yeah, no, it's like the second you talk about like male self-improvement, you're labeled like a misogynist. It's what's wild, you know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So let's hear what he has to say now.
Of history, a small percentage of men have had the majority of the mating opportunities. But in America, we decided to make a huge investment in what would probably be the greatest innovation in history, and that is in the middle class. From 1945 to 1947, 7 million men returned from war, were discharged from the service, and we decided to give them the GI Bill, subsidized mortgages. We saw education rates go from 5 to 45%. They were valued, and we had such a strong manufacturing base that you had massive marriage and household formation. And some men were seen as more economically and emotionally viable. And you've seen the reverse happen with the offshoring of much of our manufacturing base, with a society that, quite frankly, doesn't value young men. When we talk about problems with people of color or women, we see it as a systemic societal problem. When we see problems or the stats that you just mentioned, we see it as accountability, or that men just need to level up. But married households and household formation are better citizens. They vote, they save at twice the rate, they're less likely to commit crimes. And we have fewer and fewer viable men. We have a dearth of economically and emotionally viable men. But the middle class is an accident. Unless you invest in it, it doesn't happen. Eisenhower decided to invest $500 billion in a national highway project that created tons of jobs. We have, and by the way, the tax rate back then was 91%. We raised money and we redistributed in social programs that made young people more economically viable.
And then, Scott, you toss in the influence of social media and how relationships today, they don't come from, in our era, happenstance and mingling, right? They come from swiping, and that further accelerates this issue. Am I right?
Oh, it's been the chaser to it. I mean, to have an honest conversation about this, we have to be honest, and that is that men and women have different mating criteria. One quarter of men saying economic viability is a key criteria in a mate. 3/4 of women say that is important. And when you're on a two-dimensional format, where now it's 1 and 2 relationships begin online, it used to be 1 and 4 just a few years ago, it gets distilled down to a small number of criteria. Specifically for men, it's does she look attractive? And specifically for men, is he able to signal his ability to garner resources in the future? An average attractive male on Tinder gets swiped less than 1% of the time. And there's 3 men on Tinder for every 1 woman. So you've distilled it, you've taken out one of the key components of mating dynamics, and that is vibe, humor, body language, pheromones, the ability to be, quite frankly, a little bit persistent in the pursuit of a romantic relationship. We have no third places anymore, no places to meet. People aren't going to bars, they aren't sports league, they aren't going to church, they aren't even going to work. So it gets distilled down to very 1 or 2 dimensional attributes. And the reality is women are much choosier than men, and they can apply those screens, and they allocate all of their attention to a small number of men that results in just essentially at the end of the day, a lack of opportunities. Chris Williamson.
Hold on. Okay. That was a lot to impact there. I mean, 3-1 on dating apps, right? And
Right.
they said basically, like, if a guy is, you know, average looking to at least a little bit above average looking. So he gets swiped at least less than 1% of the time. So most of society is pretty much average looking. So that means that guys are getting swiped less than 1% of the time. So there's 3 guys to 1 woman, and that's on dating apps, right? And I forgot the gentleman on the right. The gentleman on the right, I think he's red pill, to be honest with you, because he has some red pill talking points. But
Yeah, I'm like, I'm actually kind of vibing with this dude.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so like they're saying that okay, like people aren't going to bars, they're not meeting up, you know what I mean? And that's true. So like this is like you know, a man that's watching this, if I'm a young man that's watching this and I see a guy like Austin Holloman, I'm gonna roll with Austin, to be honest with you.
I would say like Tinder, I'm sorry, but like Tinder is giving the rise to this entire like black pill generation, and it's proposing so much laziness in today's society where it's like, oh, you know, I'm not going to go outside, I'm not going to talk to people, meet people, and it's like really it's like you'd rather just swipe away on an app and like your entire social life, your entire dating app, like your dating history, you're just going to swipe it away every day. It's like, is that how effective is that, you know? And that's the problem. It's like people become so lenient on these apps. It's like, how about you like put yourself out there? How about you actually go out and do what a masculine man can do and actually talk to a stranger? How about you actually go talk to a woman in real life? Like, how about you actually go out and do like what your masculine ancestors would want you to do, not sit there using social media all day thinking, oh, you know, I'm not getting any matches, maybe it's because I'm ugly. It's like, no, it's like a lot of these guys, like they don't do like the basic things. Like they're too scared to do the number one things, how your like parents met, how your ancestors met, heck, how freaking like cavemen and cavewomen met back in the day. And that goes back to natural, just meeting people in real life at like events, whether it be, you know, day game, cold approach, meeting at the grocery store, coffee shops, happy hours, networking events, the way your parents met, right? We didn't have like, no, they didn't have these swiping on the apps. And people look down on like regular like men to female connections in real life. They're like, oh, it's cringy. Oh, it's weird. It's like, how do you think people met before the dating apps? Through real life interactions. You know what I mean? And it's like Tinder, like it's a business, right? It's like this greedy business that's like destroying like kind of like humanity, and it's proponing like looks. And it's really discouraging young men. It's like, oh, I slept all day. Now I have to, and I give Tinder props, right? They're a business. They're smart. You know, they're not showing your profile more. As a result, as a young man, you're going to be like, okay, let me buy Tinder Boost. Tinder's getting so much revenue from it, and they're smart. And as a result, their profiles are being shown to more women because they're buying the boost. And then those guys start getting matches. And then it leads to more people supporting Tinder, paying them, giving them revenue, buying these Tinder boosts. And it's like people have come so glued to like swiping. It's like we've forgotten the regular way to just meet people, just regular human interaction in real life. And, you know, I'll always say this, man. You know, what do you think will be more memorable to a girl, even if you match with her? Like, are you going to be in that sea of DMs or that sea of Tinder matches when you know, match with a hot girl? Is she going to remember you in that like sea of just vast messages? Because we all know hot girls have thousands of messages on their phone. Is she going to remember you that way? Or is she going to remember the masculine guy who actually had the balls to approach and have a great conversation with her in real life? So, yeah, man, social media, it's a killer.
You know what? That's an excellent point that you mentioned. Like when it comes to dating apps, I know you mentioned like with Tinder, Bumble does the same thing as well. Like where it's like I think you get like pro and I don't know, but I know what you were trying
They all
to
do
say.
something like,
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
it's like you have like different like tiers and all that stuff. You know, you pay for, and it's an excellent marketing strategy for them, and I completely understand it. You know,
right.
I'm a capitalist at
Yeah.
you know, at
I
heart.
mean,
So,
we're entrepreneurs to a certain degree. Like, I understand what Tinder is doing. Like, I understand
yeah,
from a business standpoint, it's
right.
phenomenal. You know, it's like, wow, like,
Right, exactly. So, I completely understand, what Tinder, Bumble, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other dating apps
Hinge
that
and
other
OK
people in the chat
Cupid.
can mention.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, you're basically paying for different tiers and stuff like that. What I will say is that whether they're red pill or black pill, I will say that men in general they do use that as a crutch, and it only fuels the incelic nature of these men. So I do agree, like, yes, you should be going out, you should be sociable, networking events, things like that, where you are putting yourself where you can speak to women.
Right.
As I mentioned, and for me, I'll be transparent. Like, yo, like I know I'm not the best looking guy, but the thing is, I know how to speak to women, and
Right.
and the thing is that like when I approach a woman, like a lot of women typically are a bit like taken aback, like in a kind of like in a good way, because there are some
They're
guys.
not used to it.
Right, there's
Yeah.
some guys who don't even approach women anymore. Like,
Yeah.
like I could see like a bunch of women sitting down having a conversation, and and I can approach the women and have them laughing,
Yeah.
with it, within a minute or something like that, and just being able to just have that conversation, and it's like women. Like, and I know that this is what I disagree when it comes to the black pill. Shout out to my to some of my black pill people, but like this is what I disagree with to some degree, because I do agree on the standpoint that men are hyper focused when it comes to looks, because looks get you in the door when it comes to men. What I will say is that yes, women care about looks, but like I would say that looks is probably maybe number 3 or 4 on their list, not necessarily number one for them. It's number one for us, but not necessarily number one for them.
That's
You know,
correct. Yeah.
so that's why I lean back more on the red pill, because the black pill thinks that it looks number one for men and women.
Yeah.
That's where I tail off at. So anyway, going back to what I was saying is that when a man is speaking, when a man approaches a woman, of course the woman's gonna look at like what you're wearing, and if you're that close in her vicinity, what do you smell like? And she's gonna see like if you are able to wear that confidence. If you're able to wear that confidence, you definitely have a chance. And yeah, there may be some woman that will turn you down, but the thing about it is that like some women may be like, oh snap, like this guy actually had the heart to come over here and talk to me, and especially if I'm in front of all of my girls, you know what I mean? Because some guys
Yeah.
will be like, oh shoot, she's in front of a bunch of her friends, I don't want to get turned down. Like for me, as I mentioned, I come from the era where I had to go and talk to women whether they were in front of their friends or not. Like I didn't have a choice. I didn't have
Yeah.
I didn't have an app to use as a crutch to swipe. I had
Right.
to I had to go get it done, or else for these events, or else I wasn't gonna make any money.
Right. Yeah, man. I agree with like a lot of the stuff that you just said. That's some really good, talking points for sure. And it's funny, man. Like a lot of people, and I think I understand why like the black pill community has such an issue with like the game and the PUA. And again, I'll say this, man. No, I'm not a PUA guy. I'm not even like I don't consider myself like strictly a dating coach or anything like that. But
Mhm.
I'm not saying, as young men, you should just go to the mall for like 3 hours and walk around like a creep. I'm not saying that. You know what I mean?
Right,
I'm
right.
saying like every man, unless you're a complete hermit, right? Every
Yeah,
man leaves the house to do like basic chores, right? Every man,
yeah,
if they're living in the city, they're gonna see cute girls passing by them every day on the way to their destination. Every
right.
man, goes, socializes, they go out to events, they go to the coffee shop, they like go to the grocery store, like I said, like in your day-to-day interactions, unless you're a complete woman, at the end of each week, you're gonna run into at least a couple, and I didn't even mention the gym, but that's another story, but you're gonna run into like at least a couple like cute girls every week, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, why not when you're doing the course of your day-to-day life, right? Just going, running errands, going to the gym, whenever you leave the house, it's like when you pass by like an attractive girl or you see an attractive girl, I don't know, like in the park walking your dog and you're like passing by the park, or you're in the city, you see a cute girl at like the coffee shop line or just sitting on a park bench. What is so wrong with just introducing yourself and saying hi? You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that I think that men should definitely do, like, should be active and going out the house, and even doing stuff with your friends, just being sociable with your friends,
Yeah.
because, like, I think that they said in 1990 it was like 3% where guys had zero friends, or zero friends, and now in 2021 it jumped up to 3 to 15%. That's a pretty significant jump.
Yeah.
That's a pretty significant jump, you know what I mean? So
Huge jump.
definitely. Yeah, let me all right, so let's continue. Let's see what we got here.
Chris Williams summarized it perfectly. He called it the high heels effect. In the last 40 years, more women have graduated from college than men, and they're not interested in mating with non-college grads. They now own more homes, single women, than single men. So what you have is women say they won't date anyone shorter than them, 50% of them. Effectively, what you have metaphorically over the last 40 years is women have been getting taller and taller, and men have been getting shorter and shorter. How many of us have said, I know a ton of great single women, they can't find a date? That's not true. They can't find a date. They can't find a man they find economically or emotionally viable. If we don't make a massive investment in young people and make more economically and emotionally viable men, we're going to see a lack of household formation. We're going to see a decline in the middle class. And we're going to see, quite frankly, just a lot of young men who are terrible citizens.
So is the answer to fix this economically, and who will champion this conversation? You felt obliged to compliment me at the outset because we had engaged on this a year ago, and here I am revisiting it. And I read into that the fact that you think that it's politically incorrect even to have this dialogue.
When you're seen as advocating for men because of the 300,000 year head start we've had, it seems somehow as anti-female. There's a lot of very unfortunate misogyny online that is masquerading as being pro-men. A lot of TikTok celebrities who talk about advocating for men, it's just thinly veiled misogyny. What do we need? We need more freshman seats in colleges. We need a massive investment in vocational training. We need to figure out a way to get more permitting for housing so young people can afford housing. We need to recognize our economic policies, literally allocate wealth from young people to old people. The percentage of wealth that young people control under the age of 40 has been cut from 12% to 6%. These are concerted, deliberate decisions. We did away with the child tax credit. We don't want to make it any easier for people to have kids, but seniors just got their largest cost of living adjustment increase in history. We have made the decision to make it harder and more expensive for people to find each other, for people to mate, and for people to have children. And without children, we turn into Japan and Italy, and that is we go into population decline and our economy goes into decline. We are about to become a society by the turn of the century. There will be 8 times as many people over the age of 60 and half as many kids under the age of 5. Nursery schools will become these strange situations with old people staring through fences at these creatures they don't see in the wild called children. Is this the world we want? Do we want a lack of kids? Do we want a lack of ability to create households? The happiest, most prosperous, most purposeful people in America are middle-class families. And we have made a concerted decision to punch it in the gut and make it harder for that type of family formation. And we're going to lose prosperity and we're going to lose purpose.
Man, all right.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, so
He's definitely bringing some crazy red pill points. Sure.
yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because I mean, because like I see that the society, because like I watched this whole video. Well, this is my first time actually watching it from beginning to end.
Yeah.
But I watched this whole video, and it's like there's there's really like no benefit. I don't want to say no benefit, but it's extremely slim pickings for young men in the West. So that's really my thing. Like, I mean, I completely understand if, like, men, you're saying men should not be, spending uberous amount of money, going back and forth overseas. But I would say, I guess, like, some of the young men that they may push back and say, well, watching this video, what's the, what's the alternative?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough watching that video, but something that I really want to address is I think instead of, watching these videos and then just, like I said earlier, instead of stating like the facts, right, of how hard it is for a man, and then just again and again, just not necessarily taking action, but watching just like videos like this of just, oh, men have it harder on dating apps. It's like, okay, like we know this. Oh, it's a lot harder for men in general, like, women and feminism and all of that stuff that they're talking about. It's like, yeah, we know this stuff. But at the same time, how many people are actually going to go take action and do something about it? How many people are just going to watch the video, get discouraged, and then just give up? And I think at the end of the day, we have to fight back. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just give up just off of these videos. You have to go and take action. And how many guys are actually going to step up and take action and actually improve their dating life, actually go out and meet women, actually build social circles, not just with women, but with friends, go out activities, live their life the best that they can. You know what I mean? Stop spending so much time on like social media. Stop spending so much time watching these news outlets. It's doing absolutely nothing for you, And it's cliche. It's like, it's kind of cliche because, we're like men's lifestyle, like YouTubers, right? We were supposed to help young men, and we're telling these guys, not to watch so much content, but really, the thing is like, like when you succeed is when, like, maybe not like from a profit standpoint, the way the YouTube algorithm works and getting views, but it would be awesome if more people just stop spending so much time just watching like videos upon videos about like this misogyny, and they actually like go out and do the best they can to actually work on stuff. And yeah, it's frustrating. Any video like that is definitely very discouraging, but at the same time, it's like, are these guys just going to sit there and complain, or are they going to actually go and take action the best that they can,
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the things is that that men need to be able to compartmentalize, right? And so being able to, like, I watched that video. And like, if I'm like a 25-year-old guy, um I would get slightly discouraged, but the thing is like, hey, you know what? Like, I got to go out and make it happen. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then some guys may watch that video and just feel like, and have this defeatist attitude where it's like, they just stay in the room and they just, paying, they'll pay like the, 20-30 bucks a month or whatever, on Tinder or Bumble, and just keep swiping. No, I'm being 100% transparent. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
it was a tongue in cheek comment, but I was being, serious though. It's crazy like that. Shout out to my man M3. Salute to you, knowledge and relationships. But yeah, I'm definitely definitely some guys just do that.
Yeah.
Um, it's possible, just almost impossible. Shout out to Cortez. I see you in here. Nah, all cities women are more alike than different. Um, all right, so I'm gonna get through the rest of these comments. We are at the 2:30 mark. Let's see. Nothing wrong with straight men traveling specifically to meet different women. What's wrong with these kind of people? You got a response?
I mean, I never said like anything's wrong with them. I'm just saying like resourcefully, right? Like, if you're like, again, it goes back to, kind of like what you said, right? Like financially, if you're able to and you really want to go to different countries and, dish out all that money and you meet women, hey, all to you. But I just think, you know, just be smart about it.
Right. Yeah.
It's like if you can stay in, if you're a young adult, like in your mid 20s, no one's telling you not to travel. You don't have to listen to what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but at the same time, hey, if you want to expand, why not take slow steps? Why not first see what you can truly get out of your own country. Go to cities within your own country, you know? Don't just, flee right off the bat to another country, but hey, to each their own.
Well, I think maybe I think like what's really one of the main selling points is that it's actually economically it's actually like as far as economics, because like it's actually like you can actually get a flight to fly from to fly from the Northeast to, let's say, like Dominican Republic. It's cheaper than to fly from, let's say, DC or New York or Boston to go to like Los Angeles or Oakland or San Francisco. Well, I don't know if Oakland has an airport. I think it's San Francisco. I think Oakland does, but I think Frisco is probably the international one. But San Francisco or Los Angeles. So it actually costs more to fly in country from the East Coast to the West as opposed to fly, from the East Coast going to Dominican Republic or
Yeah, I
Colombia.
mean, there's some good points, sure. And I guess, it does vary like from region to region. But again, traveling overseas, right? Not even just financially, is just the stuff that comes with it, right? It's like
Yeah,
still in a different geography, like the food's different, climate's different, your body adapting, That's also
right.
some factors you have to take into account, different time zones and
Yeah.
all of that.
No, that's true. That's true. Um, Will says no shade, but based on what I hear on some of these lives, I understand why women don't engage with some of y'all. If you're socially awkward, it will show. I agree with that too. I agree with that too. Because if shout out to Will. But yeah, like if you're a socially awkward guy, it's definitely going to show.
But
Let's
at the
see.
same time, it's kind of funny because some of you can be socially awkward, but don't be a creep, You can turn the social awkwardness into funniness. You could be a very
Mm,
funny guy, very charismatic guy, and
that's
women
true.
love a guy that's funny, right? Not saying that I'm a funny guy. I'm not the farthest thing from being a comedian. But some of these like socially awkward guys, right? I'll tell them like, hey, like contrary to what a lot of people say, you actually could really use this to your advantage. You could be like a really funny guy, and women actually like that.
Yes, they do. Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
Just don't be a
Well,
creep, but you could use the social awkwardness to be a funny dude. Not in
right.
a bad way, in a good way.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Let's see here. There it is. If you're a lame in America, you're a lame overseas. F out of here with that. I think I'm the one that said that. Uh, such a weak weathered entire talking point. I think Cortez may have been talking to me. I'm not sure. Fellas, go wherever you want to go in the world to date and marry and even hook up with. The thing is, lame in America isn't lame anywhere else. Thugs in America are the preference for too many women. They're lame overseas. I I get what you're saying. Another reason why I'm traveling, I'm also looking for a place to emigrate and retire to, a haven to escape the winter. Nobody weirder than a male detective. Will exactly. No one has all the smoke for the woman going to Jamaica to take advantage of the Jamaicans. That's true. The Jamaicans, the woman. Yeah, I know about the ladies going to Jamaica. Um, in case you guys are interested, Velvet Cakes does free consultations to help out with your
Appreciate it.
dating life. First time free anyway. It really boosted my dating life. That's what's up, man. Let's see here. Uh, even if there was a wife, there's nothing wrong with it. Let's see here. I'm sorry, I'm just going through everything here. Feminism has been around since the Garden of Eden. Shout out to you, No Internet in the building. It says, yeah, you're wrong. Not sure. Brian, are you his employee?
Nah, I'm self-employed, man.
Blue Book gentlemen are also about finding wives. Um, okay, talking to let's see. Self-improvement. Okay. Um, the average guy who women are hooking up with even lower. Why learn game to get the same woman?
Can't really understand his The average guy who women are sleeping with is even lower. Oh, because he's saying like, I think he's kind of taking that approach where it's like, what's the point of learning game? It's like I'm not gonna increase like the girls I'm like hooking up with. Is that?
That's basically what he's getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the question to you is like, you know, what extent are you like? Is it just that like how are you like utilize there's a lot of things that go into it, like where type of woman are you meeting, like where are you meeting them, like how often are you like approaching girls,
Yeah.
are you really using your social life to the best of its ability? There's a lot of things that go into it. You got to learn. And the thing is, like, people say, oh, why learn game? Like, no, screw game. At the end of the day, like, we don't even have to take it towards that PUA game concept, right? We could just break this down into like social
Yeah.
skills, right? Like basic
Yeah.
social skills.
Yep.
And yeah, say you're in the club, right? You'll have like your chat or like somebody like really masculine, 6'5". But at the
Yep.
end of the day, it's like if all he has to offer is his looks in the long term, yeah, maybe he'll get a hookup out of it. But like, is that gonna lead to like an actual legitimate relationship? If all the guy has to offer is just his looks, you need to be able to like talk. You need to be able to like have social skills with women. You need to be able to keep them hooked. You need to be able to keep them interested, right? So game and social skills, confidence, they're definitely important. It's not
Right.
always just looks.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's see. So you are a PUA dating coach.
No, lifestyle coach, not a PUA.
Okay. Let's see. Not 50 million. Most are big. I'm not sure what that was about. Let's see. He's acting like these dudes can't talk to women. He's a typical guy who makes silly assumptions about men he doesn't know.
Hey, I'm getting
Let's see
grilled
here.
tonight.
Miss Polly's in the building. How we doing, Miss Polly? Let's see here. I'm serious. I'm not an employee. He helped me turn my life around. Man, that's good. And the thing is that I know, I know that some of the people in my chat, they, well, some of my supporters, if you will, like they don't believe in PUAs. I'm just like this. If you're able to improve a man's life, then that's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my overall thing. That's my overall thing. Like if you're able to improve a man's life, good for you. You know what I mean? Some men say they don't need it, they frown upon it, and I get it, But the thing is that I'm all for the improvement of men. So if this man is his life is improved, cool. Let's see here. Shaming tactics, sign language. Um, Saint Cyr, what is he waffling about? Guys figuring out ways to become digital nomads so they can sustain life abroad. Um, Brian, you're hilarious. Well, I mean, if he said he changed his life around, bruh, why dig through a wasteland? So basically, kind of what I was saying, like a needle in a haystack full of needles. That's basically what the pushback is. I want y'all to stack paper and get honeys like I have been in America or anywhere.
I think he's
Okay, Brian.
exaggerating.
Brian is doing his thing. That's what's up. The Great Pill Podcast is in the building. Salute to the chat and panel. Salute. Art of Will. The Art of Will is funny. The Lucario bad boy membership. I'm not gonna diss Lucario. The Lucario's bad boy
I
membership.
don't know who that is, but
Oh, Mr. Lucario, he's a dating coach.
oh, okay.
Yeah, help me turn my life around after allowing me to do. Yo, chill. I'm not reading the rest of this. Will, you off the hook, man. Garden scientist is in the building. Kings and dreams. Salute, salute, salute. Eric is in the building. Eric Powell. Foodie dates. Yes, absolutely. That it's called foodie calls. Eric. Um, Not counting Canada, UK, Australia, France, etc. The West first world countries. Okay. Yep. Oh man, Phil in Brazil. I didn't even see that you popped in here, man. Salute to you, bro. Thank you for pulling up, man. Yeah, man. We got to do that interview, Phil. Let's see here. Eric said I'm out. Why are you out? Don't leave, Eric. If you think about it, there's nothing wrong with a man just going to experience different women. It's pathetic to de-police. I don't think that's what his intent is. He's more or less talking about the younger guys. I think it's because the younger guys just don't have the resources, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a
The
huge
sign
part of
language.
it.
Alex Jackson, stop with the nonsense. Clown. I don't know who.
Hey man, I'm not saying you should you don't have to listen to me if you don't want to.
I don't think that. I don't know if he's talking about you though. I don't know.
Oh, you think he's talking about the what's it called, the video?
The video could be the video. If you travel just to experience women, that's okay. Just move right. You got to move right. That's all. Absolutely. Garden scientist is in the building. Tony Scott, let me see some receipts. Make sure that y'all hit the like button. Mexico is a part of Latin America. Did he mean South America? Possibly. No one's stopping you. No one's forcing you. More of the sign language on display. I don't know. I don't know if that's meant for you or not. QB Passport flexing is in the building. He says Mexico is lit. Yeah, QB knows a lot about Mexico, man. Mexico is a big country. That's not true in America. Women here want men their age. That's a cope that a lot of men use. So basically, what he's saying is that the women want men around their age, not like older men.
I could go on forever on this, man.
Yeah, Cortez. I understand what he's saying. I do understand what you're saying, Cortez, because the thing is that in society in the West, like if you have a man that's 15, 20 years older, like it's frowned upon here. It's like, oh, you can find someone your own age or whatever, you get shamed for it. But abroad, it's no one bats an eye. Like walking around in different parts of Colombia, you'll see a guy that may be maybe 40, 45, and you'll see him with like a 22, 23, 24-year-old woman. You know what I mean? Like, and no one cares. But here in the States, it's like, oh, you can't find someone your own age or whatever. So it's like you kind of get shamed. So, I understand where Cortez is coming from that standpoint. Let's see here. Burberry coat at Kings and Dreams. I can book all your flights out of the country to South America half off. You too, Cortez. All I ask you to do is promote my business to sell flights. Hey, Burberry coat. Definitely hit me up. Hit me up on Instagram. I don't know if you're still here in the chat. My bad, but I definitely wanted to make sure that I had, because I have a guest on here, so I got to make sure I cater to my guests first. But Burberry coat, hit me up on Instagram. It's also Kings and Dreams. It's spelled the same way. So definitely hit me up so we could talk. Keep it real. When you go outside, you don't see older men with money dating younger women in America like that, Velvet. That's basically what I was just saying. What I figured what Cortez was saying.
I mean, I see it all the time. I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't really see it that much. I mean, I've seen it, but again, like but you live in a metropolitan city, so I get it.
The thing is, right? Like a lot of like high school, college kids, they're gonna date around their age because that's the demographic that they're exposed to, right? But once they graduate college, they go to that young adult age and they're working ages 22 to 25. They're gonna want to date older men as
Mhm.
opposed to, guys their age.
Right.
Whereas, in college, like you'll see a lot of college girls with college guys because that's the demographic they're exposed to. But when women, get older and they're in the workforce, they're
Mhm.
exposed to, people in the workforce. They're exposed to, more older men. They're not always hanging around that same like kind of college demographic, and they're gonna see just like the difference, and
Right.
they're gonna want to prefer like older men.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Um, if you let a man say over 40, you don't have options of younger men. Hold on. Wait. If you're a man, let's say over 40, you don't have options of younger women under 25.
So at that age, you're kind of passing out of like the prime stage. So the male like advantage, and then shout out to YouTuber First Man. He's a guy who has a really good book, and I keep referencing his book, The Male Advantage.
No, it's
Urge
all
a
good,
lot of
man.
you guys to check it out. It's a really great book, and a thing is, a man's prime is like more so in his mid 30s, and then
Mhm.
again, of course, the age factor, right? Regardless of man and woman, it's gonna come into play at some point, no,
Yeah,
more
I would
so
say,
later for men than women, but yeah,
yeah.
more so in your prime though, like you do have that option. Not saying it's your 40s, but 30s, yeah.
Well, I would say that like a man's prime is typically like between like his mid 30s to mid 40s.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. You're broadening it a lot. I wouldn't say, and again, we agree, we disagree, but I'd say it's more so like 34 to like 38 around that time.
I don't know, cause I'm
Not
seeing
saying every man, but I feel like
yeah,
for a lot of men,
yeah,
yeah.
cause I'm seeing brothers in their 40s and still shooting like Steph Curry, man. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
true. You
So,
do got some athletes out there. I mean,
well, that's true. Yeah, yeah, man, that's true, man. I don't know if you are an NFL fan, but you see,
I mean, look at Tom Brady, right?
it's well, yeah, it's true. But I was gonna mention, Terrell Owens, To, like dude could still
Oh, yo,
dude is
yeah,
in phenomenal shape. Pause. But I mean, he could
yeah.
play like now, like
Oh, he
man,
could. He
yeah,
ran like a
yeah. I think he's
4.5
like
racing against.
47,
Yeah,
47, something like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. But Tio
Um,
genetically has always been kind of a freak.
yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Um, a younger woman will best use older men for money while cheating. Um, Backpack Grizzlies in the building. He says, "What up, Kings? What up, Backpack? Checking in. I see you in the check-in. Alex Bam Bam is in the building. Salute, salute. Appreciate you. Good morning. Hey, Alex, are you in the Philippines or are you back in Thailand now? Let me know. Um, if a guy's a legit nerd, he'll have trouble in all cities in America. That's the guy who should really travel. Hmm. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like he'd still be a nerd just in another city.
Yeah. Let's see here. Rich Free. Money equals freedom if you do it right. The States is more of a gamble for black men. Everything is trying to get you, even the police, not in Asia. I will say that though. I will say that when it comes to, and I know you're not black, but as a minority though, like when you go overseas, like you don't walk into a place and it's like you get that like uncomfortable feeling because like
Yeah.
some places as black men, like we walk in there and it's like yeah, it's like, did I walk into the right place?
It's
You know
it's
what I
like
mean?
if you were to go to like, I don't know, like a country music festival, right? Even as like a minority, I feel like you'd feel the same way. It's like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. Um, let's see. Crazy investor, shout out to you. If you go to another country and bring her back to the USA with a K1 visa, are you technically a passport bro? That's a good question. Um, if you go to another country and bring her back, um, well, I mean, I would say this like if you know if you are just a male and you travel, like technically you are considered a passport bro. You're supposed to be a passport bro. Now, if you're talking about what the media is talking about, their definition as a passport bro, I mean, I don't go by their definition. So like if you are a male and you travel, I would consider, any male that travels that has traveled recently or consistently, I would consider that a passport bro. Let's see. I think so. It's supposed to be easier than it is. Let's see. He's right about foreign women in America. The problem is there are more men than women in America. That is, yes. LOL. But women are actually choosing terrible men.
And then they realize, like, when they get to, the 30s and they're like single again, it's like, well, damn, like, where did all the good men go?
Yeah, and see that's the problem. Because because now winter's here, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's a wrap. It's a wrap because you're not in your prime anymore. Um,
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, so I'm gonna start doing like some reality show breakdown. And there's a show that came on Netflix. It's called Love is Blind. And I
Oh
was
God. See, reality TV, you can't tell. I don't like doing reality TV analysis because you can't tell if it's scripted. You know what I mean?
Well,
Because
here's the thing.
production is always going to have some impact. I feel
Yes,
like, yeah,
yes, that's true. So what this is what I will say. The production will put people in precarious position,
yeah,
but like how things play out is true, but it's just that production does a little bit of manipulation.
yeah,
Let me get back to what I was saying. This one woman meets this guy, and engaged. She's engaged with the guy, and you like watching it. You could clearly tell like this woman is not interested in the guy. Like this guy's not getting laid. You know,
right.
and so they're supposed to be engaged, and I think they're supposed to get married in like 6 to 8 weeks or something like that, right? So you know nothing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like he doesn't get he doesn't get no cookie, no nothing. And like I'm just like and I'm watching it. I'm like, dude, like yo, like Shorty is definitely not feeling you at all. And so
how does the show work? I'm just trying to like get a
oh,
yeah.
okay. All right, so let me give you a rundown, basic quick
Because the
rundown
title
here.
is interesting. Are they like blindfolded or I've never
No.
watched that one.
So how it is? Okay, so the premise of the show is that so like these men and women, they're in these pods, and basically what it is that they can't see each other.
Okay.
So they're sitting in a pod or whatever, and there's like a wall, there's a wall between them. So all you
Right.
can hear is the person's voice. You don't know what the person looked like. You don't know what their race is. You don't know
So
their
there's no way you could see like any facial like there's no looks
no,
involved at all.
no,
Okay. So
no,
it's like a
no.
black pill like debunk kind of.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah. So you can't see what this person looks like at all. And the only
Wow.
way that you're able to see that person is if the guy proposes to that particular woman. Then you see the person, and then you go like on a like mini vacation, and then they end up like living like at this apartment throughout like the experiment, and the experiment lasts like the whole thing lasts about 2 months, and then in 2 months you have to decide whether you want to marry the person or not.
So you can't like even during the up until the engagement, you cannot see them like at all, like nothing. It's all
No,
words.
so right. So let's say
Wow.
right. So let's say you
Okay.
talk, you know, you're conversing with the woman, you're getting to know the woman or whatever, until you decide, like, like you Velvet Cake say, hey, I want to marry, I don't know, let's say Maria. You propose to Maria. Once you propose to Maria, and if Maria accepts, then you will be able to see Maria afterwards. But if you don't
Wow.
propose to Maria, you won't know what Maria looks like.
Wow. Okay, that's very interesting.
Right. Yep. So basically, yeah. So back to what I was saying. So this woman, like you could tell like she wasn't feeling this guy. She's like, oh, I want to wait and all this other
Right.
stuff. Guys, listen. When a woman likes you, it's gonna happen. If she's telling you she gotta wait and all that stuff, like she's not feeling you. She's not feeling you like that. That's
Like
that's
use your
straight
common
game.
sense, you know?
Yeah, but you know what? Some guys think like, I'll wait a little bit. You know what I mean? Older guys like in their 30s. So like my demographic is like, so I have two demographics. So I have 25 to 35, and then I have 35 to
Right.
50. Right. So that's my demographic on my analytics. So I know you have 18 to 25. So I
Yeah.
believe you're 18 to 25. They think that they may wait, but I know that I know my demographic, like they know what's up. So this more or less is game for your demographic.
You know what's
Like,
funny is that
yeah.
video on the Passport Bros that I made, actually the demographic for that one shifted to like 25 to 34. I thought that was actually kind of interesting. But
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because again,
Yeah.
like, yeah, so because most of the brothers who travel are, are like typically 25 and older because they have
Yeah.
the ability to have the resources.
Yeah.
Let's see here. The story is similar to what my friend is going through. Came home tired. The stay-at-home wife woke him up and made him go to the deli for food, where he ran into me. Yikes! Hey, Rich Free man, listen. He needs to get rid of that, man. Dating is supposed to be easy. Being with someone is not supposed to be complicated. We men are simple creatures. That's something American women do not want to accept. Yeah, this is my man. Yeah, he's an expat. He's been living in Thailand over 10 years, something like that. Yeah, so yeah. He's out. He's been out for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
um that stat is incorrect. The stat about how many are single. Okay. No one really has six close friends. I mean, well, let's say that the stat is like incorrect, but like it's still alarming though. I've never seen guys who committed deletion that were socially isolated. Um, Reporters said because of prawn, that doesn't cut it anyway. They don't make them like, yeah, Rich, for you funny. Oh man. What's climate change have to do with it, Mr. Reporter? I have no idea. Let's see here. What the heck is the reporter talking about? Men are still going out and working too. Um, that 3-to-1 thing is hard to believe. I believe that. I
I
believe that.
believe it
Yeah,
also.
I believe that on the dating apps because man, listen, because there's so many guys that swipe and trying to get the ladies, and and
Yeah.
and they could be like an average looking woman, like a four, or something
Yeah,
like
have you
that.
seen those YouTube videos where guys like do a fake like a profile of a girl? Doesn't have to be like attractive. Either way, their messages, their like matches are filled like daily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Tinder is no longer an entrepreneur level; they are an enterprise. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah, that's big business. To be fair, average looking women still have several guys approaching them. I see it all the time. Masculine man approaching is nothing special to her. Okay. Shout out to the Wife School podcast in the building. Rich Free, most women always give that look to approach them. Most are usually surprised and confused when I don't. LOL, my business took a lot of my time. I feel you. And also, if you approach women at the gym, they will get annoyed whether you're attractive or not.
I will say this about the gym. Use your common sense, right? If she's in the middle of her workout or if she's panting, like doing her work, don't be an idiot and approach, you know? At the same time, don't just keep staring at her like a creep. Like use your common sense. Like if she's, like in a rest set or like just on her phone, like not while she's working out, she's like in between sets, like on her phone and whatnot, then yeah, I think it's perfectly fine to go up and at the least like introduce yourself and just ask like a question like what are you working on today? But if she's during the middle of her workout, don't be an idiot and approach. And at the same time, don't keep staring at the woman like a creep,
Gotcha. All right, let's see here. Well, the Wife School podcast says don't approach at the gym; they do get annoyed. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. So basically, like if she has some downtime or something like that, kind of find like your window of opportunity. Understood. This dude is just shaming men. I don't think he was shaming men. Let's see here. The gym is a complete no-go. Like we haven't been watching viral approach videos. Yeah, that's true. Men are not getting shorter. LB Crypto's in the building. Peace, peace, peace. Yes, go out. Kind of, yeah, that was to what you were saying. If I'm paying $250 a month for an apartment in Columbia compared to $1,500 in Brooklyn, New York, that's winning for me. How is that losing money, especially if I'm living in that country?
Yeah, I mean, he makes a good point, but at the same time, it's like I said, like if you travel there and you're actually because he's paying 250 a month, right? That gives me the impression that he's not traveling back and forth. He's actually legit and staying there. And then yeah,
Yeah,
at that point, it's like, yeah, if you actually living there and you're enjoying it, props to you.
right. Yeah, absolutely. So okay, so you're talking about non-expats. Understood. Yeah, so I would say yeah, so I would say clarify, for clarification purposes, you're talking about non-expats, people who go back and forth. Okay, Ash L says it's all about economics. I agree. Um, he says, oh, you weren't talking about me. He made that talking point, but had to explain why it's not always true. Oh, okay, so he was talking to you, not me. Okay. Um, there's no word in Spanish for lame. The argument is stupid to me. Um, I met the guys getting women that earn less than are so-called lames. See here. Why learn game to sleep with a ran through?
I mean, who says every woman's been like you can still meet high quality women through game. Not every girl is just, not every girl's like a ran through girl. And it really depends the environment, right? If you're going to the bars, which I don't recommend for like meeting like a high quality girl, you know what I mean? It's like if you're going to bars, nightclubs all the time and doing it that way, you're not going to meet like that high quality girl. You're not going to meet your wife. There's different environments.
Right. I feel you. I feel you. Let's see here. What is a PUA? Pickup artist. By the way, I'm not against him. He's making great points. I just have to put a few things out there. I mostly agree with him. Okay. So I guess Cortez is just playing devil's advocate.
Uh,
Let's see here. I agree with you. All about how you view game. I just don't like pickup artists.
yeah, here's the thing, man. The pickup community, it's definitely very cringy at times for sure.
Right. Even with celebrities, they usually date around the same age. Men have women. Hold on. men have and women were shamed into not doing the age gap dating. Well, I don't know. I mean, well, Leonardo DiCaprio, what he's almost 50, and
Look at my boy Leo over there, man.
yeah, yeah. He doesn't date a woman over the age 25.
Yeah.
Kings, exactly. Age shaming is specific to America, UK, overseas. They date older men. Yep, very true. I've dated younger chicks in America and overseas. I'm 43. Shrug. I got you. But as far as worldwide, yeah, Velvet is right about women liking older men. It applies everywhere except for United States and the UK. Let's see here. Maybe it's DC. I've seen older men date younger women anywhere in mass, not in America. Got it. Even on social media, it's rare to see American age gap couples. That's the best research. No, bro. An American nerd is the so-called alpha in China or even in Poland. Reality TV is always scripted to an extent, at least. Yeah, it's cool, but I'm still gonna do the I'm still gonna do the breakdown. Shout out to my man Nate in the building. Social media isn't the best research for. Oh, okay, you guys talk to each other. Hey Cortez, when you're talking to someone, use the at symbol just so I can move past it in the future. No, they aren't. They're the ones that want exposure. Others are private. The more money you make, the more private you make your life. Not everyone is trying to be seen. Okay. Have a good night. Good evening. Hey man, good evening. Thank you for popping through, man. Peace. Sleep well. Yeah, we about to wrap up here anyway. We are over the 3 hour mark. Let's see here. If she's in a rest moment at the gym, she'll get even angrier. Oh man, hey,
Hey.
man, Prince, you like 3 hours late, B. Come on, man. What you was doing, Prince? Come on, man.
He's picking up the ladies, man. I'm just joking.
I bet he was. I bet he was. I'll say this: the gym is tricky. It's not always bad. I personally read the woman before I say anything to them. Absolutely, I agree with that one too. I just notice how they are. Tommy Wilson dropped the link. No, Tommy, we are at the 3 hour mark, and I am tired. It's almost midnight on the East Coast, and we got work. We got work in the morning. Let's see. Leo is the one guy who admitted he dated younger women. That proves my point. Most celebrities don't marry younger. It's a small percentage. Understood. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? We're over the 3 hour mark. So what are your final thoughts? And then also let people know where they can find you, brother.
Yeah, man. Really appreciate you having me on the podcast, man. I think we had a good back and forth like discussion. It was very constructive. Definitely see a lot of good things you mentioned on your viewpoints, and I respect how you see my viewpoints as well. So I feel like this is the way pods should be done, not attacking other people. It's cool to like get insight into both sides for sure. So again, man, I really appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, for I guess the socials, subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/@velvetcakes. And you can also find me on TikTok as well. I'll give a lot of good men's lifestyle daily tips on there as well. It's tiktok.com/red_velvet_lifestyle. So really TikTok and YouTube are the two platforms that I'm pretty much on. So yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I really, really appreciate it.
All right, man. Definitely appreciate you, bro. Yeah, man. So thank you for pulling up. Great conversation. I definitely could see some of the things of what red velvet velvet cakes, not red velvet cakes, but velvet cakes were what he was saying. And I definitely understand the pushback. I definitely encourage men and women to travel, explore your options, and it's with this economy, with the price going up, a lot of issues with supply chain, getting property. It's definitely a lot more feasible overseas to go overseas and do that. I mean, again, there's almost 200 countries in this world. I believe it's 195 or 196. So definitely encourage you all to travel, and I believe that Velvet Cakes is encouraging to travel too. I believe that he's talking to more or less a younger demographic. Really
Yeah, I
today.
think I think what guys need to see is that I'm not saying don't travel, I'm all for traveling. It's great to broaden your horizons, of course. Like, who doesn't want to travel? You get sick of the US.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I appreciate, I appreciate you all watching tonight. This was a great conversation. We hit the 3 hour mark. So, um we definitely we definitely touched on a array of different pockets of topics, if you will. So definitely make sure that you do subscribe to Velvet Cakes. I did post a link, and it is pinned to the top of the chat. Subscribe to his channel. Definitely appreciate y'all. I will be back live tomorrow with Sweet Melody Media, and the topic of conversation is going to be do are modern women in fear of men traveling abroad? That's going to be a great conversation. Definitely stay tuned for that one. I believe it's 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anyway, stay purposeful, and we are out. Salute.